Hello, everybody out there in YouTube land. Welcome to Something to Talk About, and this is our live stream today where we're going to talk about some Valyrian Steel weapons. But before we get to that, I have to say, hi! Welcome to Something to Talk About, the show where everything's made up and the points don't matter. That's right. The points are like who you think Quaith is. It doesn't matter, man. It's just a chick in a mask. Just don't worry about it. That's all I got. How are you guys doing?
All right. I'm gonna try open the chat so that I can see comments here without causing like massive echo. So if it starts echoing for a second, I apologize. I'm gonna mute it as soon as possible.
I'm a chat on the phone with your phone on mute kind of guy is how I like to do it. Oh my, Agor, right away. How are you doing?
And Carl Carsnark, hello, Carl.
Oh, I think this is the first time I've seen Mr. Carsnark in my chat. How are you doing? Holy crap! You're very famous from Alt Shift X's chat.
Oh yeah,
getting big time, Taco. You're growing.
This is getting dangerous because I occasionally still go into other A Song of Ice and Fire YouTubers chats with my real account that has my real name on it. So I got to stop that.
I got my real last name, so like, oh yeah, what's up, Michael Israel?
Yeah, I don't get a chance to show my face too often. Memes are usually more entertaining than this for my videos. So
I really wish you on your channel before you did your first face reveal with us last time, if you did 4 pictures and one of them was you and 3 were what? Some nerd
AI generated.
Yes, like type in nerd, and no one. I would love to see the 1% that picked, a Russ Cole from season 1 True Detective. Like no one would have guessed that.
I almost took a group picture with some of my friends, just being like, "Hey, here's me and some friends. Take a guess at which one I am." And I would have assumed I'd be the last choice because I've got a few other friends who are also into A Song of Ice and Fire who I could have taken a picture with, but now it's too late.
Yeah. I do like that I mention giving away personal information on the internet, and Steve Dorries pops up and says, "Zach, stop doing that." And then it's like my guardian angel for not doxing myself.
Yeah, stop doxing yourself.
I do have Tom wanted to be here today, but he had a dental procedure. He's still in a lot of pain and he still can't talk very well. He told me to make at least one joke at his expense, and I wrote a bunch, so I will go until Taco cuts me off.
All right, go ahead, go.
Tom's jaw hurts today, and it's not for the usual reason. Tom can't make it today. He was drilled a little too hard the other day. Tom would be here, but after an hour, people sticking things in him, he's a little wiped out. Tom was considering making an appearance, but he didn't think he could sink his teeth into this topic. Tom was concerned he'd be a little too loose-lipped if he spoke on this topic. Tom would have been here, but he couldn't stomach to have an appearance more toothless than his trivia appearance. Tom couldn't be here, conflicted with his 2:30 appointment. 2:30.
That was my favorite one. I was waiting.
Yeah, the last one was the best.
Yeah.
Did he at least get a Valyrian steel tooth put in or a filling?
Not. He got a crown. So the second he told me that, I said,
so he thinks he's a king now. That's it.
Yeah, no, I was all like you dropped this king. Yeah,
I have so much dental work done.
So he went to the dentist, and all of his bannermen proclaimed him king. Is what you're saying?
Yeah,
they gave him a crown. Okay.
I think we're gonna do a extended opening bit to our next episode about dentistry.
I got some stuff I gotta say before we actually move to our topic, which is Valyrian Steel Weapons. Of course, we're really just here to talk and be nerdy, and the Valyrian Steel Weapons are just kind of give us a thing. But I do want to say I will try to pay attention to chat. Any that we want to bring up, we'll bring up anytime I feel like. But if you do have a question that you want to make sure I answer and I see, send me a super chat, or I believe in the description you can find the PayPal if you want to give money that none of it goes to YouTube. I waited long enough to say that so YouTube didn't demonetize me for saying that. I waited long enough. So either through the PayPal or through Super Chat if you want to make sure we see it. So, and I'm gonna mute Russ until he gets back. Okay, now he's back.
Yeah, also, if I didn't mention this before, there's some chance I might have to mute myself and just dip for a little bit and come back. If I do, I will be back.
Yeah, hardcore drugs.
Yeah,
Got
yeah.
Arnold Schwarzenegger over here.
that mustache from your church groove, like clearly. Jeez. Oh, maybe there are like hardcore bikers with cool mustaches in church. I shouldn't make broad generalizations.
Yeah,
Been a minute since I've been to a church, so I wouldn't know.
One actually used to be my father-in-law. So
Your father-in-law was at church?
no, he was a mustachioed. He had an impressive beard as well, but he was the classic biker. He was also a devout Christian.
Nice. That makes me think of that King of the Hill episode where the guy's like he's like this hardcore biker, but he's got like the 10 Commandments tattooed to his back.
Yeah.
Awesome. This beer is super good. Holy crap.
Woo. What kind is it?
Thank you for asking. I only had to bring it up twice. Cocoa Nitro Darkness. So Darkness is Surly. Makes a Darkness every year. Surly's the Minneapolis really, really good brewery. Furious is their best. Or their most well-known. But Darkness, they do once a year, and they always change it up. But it's normally a 14% Imperial Stout of some type. So I'm going to get warm fast.
Steve says in the comments he can confirm there are still people in churches with awesome mustaches, which means I don't need to go. They've got it covered.
That's good. They're full. Well, before Agor Rivers leaves the chat, we have to talk about our first alphabetical. Because I do everything alphabetical. Is that I don't know. Is that just the lazy guy in me, or is that the like?
No, that's a good way to do it.
Slave to patterns.
That's you not wanting to like make any decisions that people might disagree with.
Yeah, like here's how my fault. I'm doing it in this order. It's alphabetical. It's
exactly.
Yeah. But if
which I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but
if you guys did say,
so long as we're honest about it,
hurry up and do Kago's Valyrian Steel Iraq so I can leave. I mean, no one's gonna say that, but because I want Agor to see it, let's start alphabetical, which is Blackfyre. Is right away. Ooh. So I do. So I have a really quick description. Of course, we got art, and then I have every known wielder. So that's what I ended up putting on our cards. So Blackfyre is a fabled hand and a half long sword that absolutely isn't Longclaw of Valyrian Steel. Once wielded by Aegon the Conqueror, and his most famous two ancestral swords from House Targaryen, and provided the name for House Blackfyre. So we had Aegon the Conqueror, Aenys, which I don't think Aenys really used it too much, Maegor, who had both at the same time, which is crazy, Jaehaerys the First, Sir Elford Broom, very briefly, King Jaren the First, King Daemon Blackfyre, and then Aemon Blackfyre for almost a full minute, and then Agor Rivers. Yeah, because he just picked it up and he's like, I'll avenge you, Dad. Arrows, ow, arrows all over my body. And then he fell. Which
will happen, you know.
Yeah.
It'll
happens to the best of us on a battle.
He got Rickonned.
He's like, Ravens don't even have teeth. No.
It happens to everyone except Daemon Targaryen.
Yeah.
He's the only one who can run through arrows and be fine.
Yeah.
He's very
so
bad.
I think we need to talk about Valyrian Steel itself to some degree.
Yeah, if you want to.
Like what the fuck is it? Why is it important?
Steel, but
And why? Yeah. So Damascus Steel was lost because the knowledge of how to make it was lost. This is something I was actually talking about this in our A Song of Ice and Fire nerd chat with Mira Reeds recently. There are points in history, like we live in one where like our knowledge has been unbroken for hundreds of years. Stuff does not get lost, other than like this book might have been lost, an episode of a TV show might have been lost. Like wholesale technologies were lost back in the day, sometimes hundreds of years before they were rediscovered. And
like the Baghdad battery.
Yeah, the Baghdad battery. There's a great story in that time period of leading up to like the Greeks fighting the Persians, where there's a story of people going through a city that had been like lost and abandoned, and the buildings were so tall that nobody could determine how they were built because the understanding of architecture had been lost to that level. So Damascus steel is one of many things historically. We knew how it was made. Everybody in Damascus mysteriously had stab wounds in them after a building was set on fire. Nobody knows how, but they managed to rescue the treasure. And then all of a sudden, nobody knew how to make Damascus steel anymore. And Valyrian steel is pretty much as close to a historical one-to-one that we get in A Song of Ice and Fire in that regard. It is, like Taco said, Damascus steel, but cool.
But magic.
But magic, yes. And so it comes from Valyria, which is doomed. We don't know how it was made. It always seems to point to dragons, though. Dragons seem to be people's go-to answer. Dragons came from Valyria. The people we know from Valyria have a special kinship with dragons, and they also brought Valyrian steel.
Well, there's also the whole, like, digging inside the volcanoes, digging too close to power, and so on and so forth. So it's kind of like Pompeii times, was it 14, right?
Yeah. Mega Pompeii, yeah.
So would that be, let me look up how similar that would be to Krakatoa.
Yeah, I always thought of it as, they were killed by thematic irony because they were getting too powerful, digging too close, playing with playing with the powers of the earth there for the volcano and digging into there using mines. You're like waking the power of God, essentially, right?
And that's very Tolkien. Also, the dwarves did that. They dug too deep and then they wound up digging into hell a little bit. That makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah. So basically, one of my, because like with Damascus steel wasn't part of it. Like they had different, like slightly different metal content in that area, or is that something else I'm thinking of? Like just the metal they were using had like slightly different carbon amounts or something random like that, or is that completely different?
That's a good question. I'm gonna look it up.
Where I was going with that is what I think, because okay, kind of if it is just more magic-y, different kind of steel, in addition to it being with Dragonfire, considering like all of the magic in this universe is kind of like life magic, were they like burning slaves in the forging of it, and that's why you can't forge more of it? You know what I mean?
We know that they were sacrificing slaves just in mining. So if it's
right,
maybe if they're getting that certain type of metal, maybe that metal is only found deep inside, like an ore deep inside a volcano, and the fact that they have to literally burn people alive to get it.
It could be either one. It could be like a different type of metal from deep in the volcanoes, or they were literally just like,
you gotta listen to Carl Karsnart, guys. Click like.
These forges are powered by people.
Looking it up, they combined it with the steel that they imported probably from India. They believe Sri Lanka, southeastern India sort of thing, that had a like stronger content to it. So it was like an alloy sort of situation. Alloys tend to be stronger, I believe. So that could be why. That's the like working theory we have.
Yeah, I thought that was,
and then the technique was lost. I know I've mentioned this. I think I mentioned this on one of these live streams before, that the reason that Vikings were thought to have more powerful weapons is because they would put bones of animals in the metal, thinking they were giving their blade animal powers, because that's how magic works, obviously. And that would create, because those bones are made of carbon, it would create steel, which
Stupid
is an alloy,
Vikings.
stronger. Yeah.
No wonder why they lost the Battle of Stamford Bridge. Losers.
Like to them, like, to us it's science, but a Viking would say, "Shut up, nerd! It was bone magic," which I think is the meme I saw attached to when I first learned about this. Like, yeah.
I want to bring up something. I kind of don't want to actually click the thing because I feel like the words. Maybe we're fine, but I want to know. I want everybody to know that April May is referencing a song from the show Wonder Chosen. I'm pretty sure, which I thought I was the only person who knew the "Thank You Slave" song from Wonder Chosen, which was on MTV2. It was like a vulgar, 2000s Sesame Street. And the whole song is just like, slaves built the pyramid, slaves built America. And it's just a really edgy song, thanking slaves. I just wanted to make fun of April May for quoting Wonder Chosen. That's just like, who quotes Wonder Chosen? I, of course, had to eat a candy bar, and I'm going to say, of course, I do think slavery is evil and awful. That's all I have. All right.
Yeah, I was going to say, you gotta be very careful.
Yeah, I was kind of afraid to even put up the word, but
yeah.
But people talk.
I know it's a tough stance to take these days, but I think slavery is bad.
Slavery, not a good idea.
Get a lot of flack in the comments for this one, but slavery, bad idea.
I want you to know that if I was running for president, and if you would ask me why the Civil War happened, I would at least use the word slaves once. I'm not saying
it'd be really embarrassing if somebody didn't do that. Luckily, nobody would ever do something that dumb.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't need all those electoral votes, do you? You'll lose a few
about the government.
Good news, you don't need electoral votes if you don't win the primary.
Yeah.
It's about states' rights. Well, specifically one of the rights. The one to own slaves.
Yeah, which one, I wonder?
Yeah. They didn't do it for a random tariff, I'm pretty sure. It was one specific one. All right, let's move on. Yay, Wonder Shows in reference. Crazy. Bright Roar. What's that? Bright Roar was an ancient Valyrian steel greatsword belonging to House Lannister. Bright Roar became in possession of the Kings of the Rock from House Lannister in the century before the Doom of Valyria, which is a little late compared to a lot of the other ones we hear about 300 or 400 years before. This was just within the 100 years. It is said that the weight of gold they paid for it would have been enough to raise an entire army. Bright Roar was lost little more than a century after it was acquired by when Tommen II Lannister, Tommens, am I right? Carried it when he sailed a fleet to the ruined Valyria with the intention of plundering it for wealth and sorcery. He was... where he sure remained. Yeah, he probably died there. The fleet, Tommen, nor Bright Roar was ever returned. Oh my God, I wrote more here. House Lannister has been searching for a replacement ever since. Lord Tywin attempted to buy one from lesser poorer houses, and they're all like, no. But was rebuffed. Tyrion Lannister went and searched for it circa 291. So about 7 years before the book starts, right? 298, I think, is when the book starts. But was never returned. Known wielders Lancel IV and Tommen II. You guys can talk now. Bright Roar. So did Bright Roar cause the Doom of Valyria? That's a theory.
I actually, what I want to talk about is we just Ted Blackfyre and Bright Roar, or we talked about Valyrian Steel and where it comes from. We didn't talk about it a lot with Blackfyre, but it applies to both of these. Is the swords as a status symbol more than they are they're good weapons, but one good sword does not win you a war. It does not win you every fight. There are plenty of people who have Valyrian Steel weapons who still get their asses kicked, as we talked about.
I wonder.
It didn't do a lot of good for Aemon.
I wonder if Tywin's interest in it was more than just the prestige. I wonder if there's a possibility that he had, I wouldn't call it, but some sort of secret knowledge, right? That was being passed down through, maybe the male lineage of his family. And he knows that they're going to need Valyrian steel weapons at some point in the future.
I know too much credit. He doesn't.
There might be a family legend. There might be a family legend that says that they need to, have one for some reason in the future, some sort of prophecy. Who knows? Maybe.
The only reason he needed it was to overcompensate for his tiny little Tywin penis.
Well, because Blackfyre represents to a lot of people.
It's a T-Rex.
The
covers my modem.
Of rule. People supported the Blackfyres because they had that sword, and that sword can be pointed to as I have a divine right to rule symbol. It's a symbol
which we'll get to
autocracy later.
And
Then
we'll get to later.
Bright Roar is similar. If you are a lord without the big fancy Valyrian steel sword, it's one less symbol.
Or if someone else turns up with it.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's another thing. If somebody shows up with Bright Roar, this is notably something that we'll get to, I'm sure, when we're talking about Valyrian steel stuff. I'm sure Euron's going to get a mention here. He rolls up with magic shit in his suit of Valyrian steel, and that's part of looking the part of a king God, if Tyrion comes back with
Bright Roar?
Bright Roar,
That
all
would
of a
be super
sudden
cool.
he could say like, if I was so truly accursed,
Yeah.
why do I have this?
Carl
would be
nails it.
interesting.
It's Excalibur.
Holy
yeah.
fuck! Imagine if Tyrion finds it.
Remember who owned Excalibur?
Dude, that'd be so cool.
Like Sir Lancelot didn't have Excalibur, even though he was the greatest knight out of all of them and the better fighter. No, the king did. Right? The king had the status of it.
True.
So a couple things I would like to bring up with this. We'll talk about it when we get to Orphan Maker, but it's exactly what you just said, Zach, of like Sir Unman Peak whips out a Valyrian Steel Sword when he wants people to listen to him, right? Like this is why I'm here. I have the power, which is just a random one from House Roxton. Who cares about House Roxton? But I don't know, is that everyone's favorite house? House Roxton? Nobody? Okay. There's gotta be
Rust, I heard that President Johnson joke. That was pretty good.
Thank you.
He also whipped out his sword.
Andrew Johnson?
No. The Johnson.
He's famous for whipping out his cock. He did it way too often. Don't do that, by the way.
He would also have conversations when he was on the toilet. He would call in his entire cabinet while he was pooing as a power play, which is either alpha as fuck or disgusting or both.
I don't know. Like it's certainly intimidating, but I don't know that it's the power play that he thought it was.
All I
mean, who lets a boss treat them like that and doesn't like poison them?
My wife does
at the very least.
When I do that. Honey, we got to talk about how much you've been doing dishes. Join me in the bathroom. I'll be pooping. She's like, we're going to get a divorce.
Oh, I thought you meant you would pull your dick out and drop it on the table to win an argument. Okay. She doesn't mind when you do that?
Equally as fucked up.
Audience, if there's one lesson you take away from things not to do that Lyndon B. Johnson did, don't escalate the Vietnam War. But if there's two, don't whip your cock out in an argument.
But remember, women are too emotional to be president.
Oh my god! You ever see those pictures of Lyndon B. Johnson talking to one person, and he would move in on you to see if you're going to back away? So there's pictures where it's the same guy, and they're like a
dude. I would kiss him right on the lips, man.
Yeah,
right on the mouth.
I'm sure Zach has seen these pictures.
It's like leaning in real hardcore.
It's eventually the guy's against the wall, and he's like because he was a tall dude, and he's like in his grill because the guy kept backing away. So you had to stand your ground, and then he would stop moving in. But if you backed, he would move. You're just like, Lyndon B. Johnson, get away from me.
And,
so, Steve Dory says Jumbo is a cautionary tale.
Pretty good.
Also, just quickly to riff off of Rust's point there, if we had one female president in history ever who was just known for whipping out her tits, like, they would be the end of female presidency. Even though it would be way cooler. Everyone would just judge everyone from that point on.
I'd be down if we had a guy president who was famous for whipping out his tits. It'd be pretty great right there, too.
Like Cuomo and his nipple rings.
Moving on. All right, we got two Bright Roar things we can bring up. Is Gary Lannister the Shrouded Lord? And did Lannister gold somehow cause the doom of Valyria? Because these are two out there, but not like out there as in whoa, but like it's out in the ether. Two things that like.
So wait, did the doom happen after Bright Roar went missing?
Nope.
No. Okay.
After they bought
then the gold.
They were like one of the last houses to get one, and it was.
I see what you mean.
Years.
Okay.
After they bought it, within that 100 years is when it happened, and there's a line somewhere where it says Lannister gold caused the doom. Like somebody, it's out
foretold
there in front of me.
It was like, I think it was like foretold that they didn't. The reason Valyria didn't try to go into Westeros is because the Westerlands gold would like eventually cause the doom, and someone saw that, or would like cause the downfall of Valyria.
Okay.
Which I don't know. Like maybe that is a thing in history, but I also kind of wondered like, is the Lannister gold like somehow gonna affect like Daenerys in the future, like the last Valyrian, I don't know.
Maybe it leans like Lannister golden hair.
There's some people who are like, yep, absolutely. And also April said, I believe I have it in the ice slide, but I want to say it's about 400 or 300 years. And that's relatively soon, right? But like,
Yeah.
but Lannisters was in 100 years. Like, we just know it was within a century of it. So it could have been anywhere from 10 to 90, right? But still comparing that to houses who got it 300, 400, 500 years ahead. Like, you know.
Yeah, also side note, like the 400 years ago being the Doom always feels like so recent in Westerosi timescales, where you got like the wall that's like 8,000 years old, and then like Valyria rose and then only fell 400 years ago.
Also, years in Westeros, like, it's so stretched. It's so stretched out. Like, you look at it like America got its independence 200 years ago. That's a lot of generations. Right. There's been like 4 kings in 200 years, right? like Westeros, like they're pretty good. Like they stretch things out.
They're saves coming on their Crusader Kings playthrough to get the long rulers.
Absolutely, they do not play Nuzlocke. I know that. But no, the another thing that blows my mind has nothing to do with Bright Roar is we are supposed to believe that there's never been a female Stark ruler in 8,000 years. That ever since how insane! Like, I can't believe that at all. Like, that's not reality. Well, it's really not reality. It's a book. But 8,000 years with perfect progenitor. Like, come on, man. Like, I believe France did it for like 100 years, and it's considered like a miracle that they somehow did first son for 100 years.
They eventually ran out. They ran out of Louis eventually. Yeah.
Yeah, Louis X is actually my favorite French king. I would love to tell you that story someday.
Oh, absolutely. If the Capets like eventually died out and had to be a like another branch of the dynasty, the male line went extinct. It happens all the time. And
did you find out that we got an AI Michael? No. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm
sorry. Sorry, you were talking, Zach. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. It's strange that like we have, we know that like Japanese royal family goes way back, but there's a lot of gaps of knowledge we have in that line. Women can't inherit under the rules now, but that might not have always been the case. And like, we just know the monarchy goes back. The way we would think of it in like a European house sort of dynamic probably doesn't hold up.
Like the Lord Commander of the Night's Watch, there's lots of gaps.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and also keep in mind, I didn't say the Starks lasted for 8,000 years. Like, that right there is insane, right? But even I bet the Japanese, whatever, any really long dynasty, it had to have gone to a brother at one point, or to a cousin. In the Starks, we're always all male, so it could have gone to a brother or cousin or a brother cousin, whatever. It gets lonely up north. But the French were specifically that 100 years until Louis X was first son. And it wasn't until Louis X died playing tennis. I'm not making this up. He died playing tennis in his early 20s. And then his son, who was still in utero, got crowned king. And then his brother refused to, like, he just ran as regent as this in utero baby was crowned king. When it was born, it has 2 distinctions. This king, I can't remember the baby's name. It has a distinction of being king for the majority, like the longer percentage of its life, because it's 100% of its life, and for the shortest amount of time, because the baby lasted like 2 days and died. So then there was nothing. And then finally his younger brother's like, guys, can I rule now? Like, we did the whole baby thing. Like, we tried.
We did. We gave it our damnedest.
But I love that this perfect, like, succession got ruined because homeboy didn't drink enough water while playing tennis. The downfall.
That is amazing. My biggest question is, when they crowned the baby, did they like have the queen like lay down and they like put a crown on the bump and we're like,
that's what I was thinking. Yeah,
they got to have. Can you swallow this crown, please?
we can. It's going to be the less painful way to get it on the baby.
What they did is they made like a Burger King crown, and they folded it up origami style, and they just slipped it right in there.
I love the idea of like old school France and 1400s had Burger King.
They just had hot pie make a bread crown, be like, all right, you have to eat this in front of the people. This is the crown.
Well, of course, they don't call it Burger King in France because they speak French.
Yeah, and also they have.
It would be the Burger Wa.
They don't have the metric system, so they don't know what a quarter
exactly.
is.
So yeah, the Royale with cheese. So Dave's and because it's Wendy's, it's Dave's classic Royale with cheese.
Well, actually,
but in French.
A quarter pounder is for McDonald's, and we're ruining it because he goes, "What do they call the Whopper?" He's like, "I don't know. I didn't go into Burger King." So like, Quentin Tarantino didn't even approve of our joke 20 years before we made it.
I was in Paris when I was a kid, and McDonald's had a 4-patty burger that I had never seen in the United States called the Mega Maxi, and I was like 12 years old, and that's what I remember most about Paris because I was a fucking child when I was there.
All this beautiful art and all this stuff going back hundreds and hundreds of years, and you're like 4 patties.
I watched Star Wars episodes 4 and 5 17 times each in the 3 weeks that we were there, just because I was 12 and I didn't have any priorities.
Better to be in a galaxy far, far away than France, apparently.
And it's so cheap to get into the Louvre. It was like $4.50 to get into the Louvre. And if you spent, I think, 10 seconds on every item in the Louvre, it would take you 10 years to get through there. So like, there's a lot of stuff to see, but you know.
Right. I want Zach to talk, and then we're gonna move to the next one.
I was hoping that, like, when you say hamburger in French, you do what you do with most French words, and you ignore most of the consonants. But no, they pronounce it hamburger. Very tragically, I was hoping it would be just like, which is how I learned. Any French I learned, did you see this word?
Wait, no. What you need to look up is there's this whole organization that hates it when they turn English words into French words. And so they'll make up their own word. Like the word for television in French is le télévision. And they're like, no, we need a purely French word. So they made it, I don't know what it is. And I can't remember the name of the organization, but I'm sure they have their own word for hamburger that does not sound like hamburger.
All right.
If you want to find it.
Everybody got that? All right. We're going to move on to, we did 2 very famous ones right away. Blackfyre, Bright Roar. Let's move to Kago's Iraq. Remember Kago Corpse Killer? Don't worry, I'm going to do a video for him eventually. Kago, also known as Kago Corpse Killer, is a sellsword of Dothraki origin, a captain of the Windblown, and he rides a monstrous warhorse, and he wields a rare Iraq of Valyrian Steel. That's it. That's all we know. Not even a cool name. He's got a cool name, but the sword doesn't.
It probably had one, but they killed whoever named it and just took it before he could say, "Hey, wait, at least use its name," as he bleeds out.
What's the name of it? It's something way too epic, and he's like, "Nah."
He's like, we don't speak whatever language that guy we killed spoke, so it's got no name now.
Guess we have to rename it. Yeah.
Believe it or not, I didn't do sports in high school. And but I do have a story of a football player in high school. So of a friend of mine who was a nerd and a football player, they exist. I was like, "Hey, how's football practice?" It was like the first one of the year, and he goes, "Dude, there's this new guy who's like a freshman, and he tried to give himself his own nickname." And I was like, "Okay." He's like, "Yeah, and he chose a really good one, and now we all hate him." I was like, "All right, I have to know this." And it's like a dude, I can't remember his name. Not that I would dox him anyways, but he's like, "Yeah. They call me the Creature." And it's like, really? Yeah, my nickname's the Creature. And it's like, yeah, we're not gonna give you Creature. That's way too badass. That's the Iraq's name, I'm assuming.
The first football practice of freshman year, we had one kid on our team, and our guidance counselor was one of our he was only our guidance counselor for a year, and then he moved on. But he was one of our freshman football coaches, and he just randomly picked out one kid in our grade, and he's like, "What's your name?" He's like, says his name. He's like, "You look more like a Froggy," and his name we still call him Froggy, all the time.
What a dick!
He just nicknamed him Froggy. Well, it stuck to the point.
Have you guys seen The Wire?
Yeah, of course.
The opening scene where they're talking about
Snot Boogie.
How Snot Boogie got his nickname. Yeah, like this boy's mother went through all the trouble in naming him. One night he doesn't bring a tissue. Yeah. And he's Snot Boogie for the rest of his life.
Oh my god.
Anyway.
Who shot Snot? God, I love that show. Also, we're connecting Froggy with Frog, aka Quit Martell, who actually did a plot with Kago, Corpse Killer, the Still a Dragon. We all brought it home.
Yeah, it was all an elaborate setup.
Yeah.
Even if it seems like we're going off
you
topic,
made that story up.
Yeah, we're always like just building another bit to segue into the next one. It's all an act.
If nobody has a
Yes.
Kago corpse killer thing,
I do just want to comment real quick. Like, cell swords are one of the things where George has a lot of writing fun, and it's clear this is a man who's played a fair share of Dungeons and Dragons. That he can just have a character come in, have a bunch of cool shit, have a cool nickname, have a vibrant personality, leave the story dip, never seen again, off on his own adventures.
Every
And
GM.
that's one of the things I love so much about these books is that it feels so real to the world that he's built. We're just like, yeah, they call me Corpse Killer. Here's the cool sword. Okay, bye.
Not cat. Yeah, no, totally. You know how many times I've like came up like with a complete backstory for like an NPC in a role playing game, and then he just gets murked immediately by a player character, and we never get to learn any of it. Or how many times I'm like, all right, they're going to have to solve this puzzle and do this puzzle, and then they're going to be able to open the door, and there's this dude in here, and they're like, kick the door, kill the guy, move on. I'm like, ah!
You should have some sort of like automatic eulogy mechanic that if they kill someone with too complex a backstory before they get to reveal it, then they have to sit there and listen to you read it at them.
Hear about it. You guys don't want another 45-minute monologue about Congo Corpse Killer, then respect the story, Dave.
George definitely does do the opposite of what like a lot of new authors do, where they want to like info dump all their cool world building. George is like, no, you're lucky if I'm ever going to tell you any of it. I'm just going to hint at all the cool stuff and never reveal any of it.
That's why I really like older sci-fi movies like Rollerball and like Logan's Run, stuff like that, where like they're telling a story about a very specific like segment of that society, and you just get a little window into this much larger, sort of usually dystopian environment. And it's like, that's so interesting, but that's not what the story is about. And we just get that glimpse, and that's it. And it's cool.
I was contemplating Cher Sea Star. I was in that mood, and because she's super hot, and I had this thought about like, well, there's no way they can, because I made a poll on my channel where it was like, hey, who is Quaith? And then one of them is Cher Sea Star, and I believe the winner was just Quaith. Stop giving people secret identities. You guys suck. Like I believe that won. But Cher Sea Star, I was thinking like, no, they barely mentioned her, so why would it be Quaith? And then I had the realization that Bloodraven wasn't mentioned, like at all, like except for supplementary books and things like that. How many mentions does he have in the main series?
Very few.
One, maybe one, two, maybe.
I don't think he's mentioned before.
Sure.
Like he's the guy in the tree. I'm pretty sure it's all Dunk and Egg stuff that he was known from.
And that's why everything.
How do you spell his name?
Brendan Rivers, Bryden Rivers.
He does not get mentions in the book directly until Feast and Dance, when he's already showing up.
And none of his mentions, even in Dunk and Egg, would imply that he's gonna be strapped up to a tree in the far north. Sending
not at
dreams,
all.
Like.
So his first mention is in A Feast for Crows, Samuel 2.
Okay, so he did get a mention, probably as being a Lord Commander, one would assume.
Yep, that was mentioning.
Yeah, he's talking about Duncan, actually.
Okay. Okay. All right, so my next thing was, it kind of makes me go down this weird rabbit hole where I think everything we do as fandoms and theorists, which I'm less of a theorist compared to, at least, I mean, I wouldn't call Russ a theorist. He makes history videos about real history. No offense. But Zach and Michael, definitely, that the fact that we keep following breadcrumbs, and so often George goes, I'm not going to give you any breadcrumbs. Guess what? Quaith is blah, blah, and blah, blah has been important this whole time. And we're going to find out that she was some queen we didn't even know about that had all this power, and all of it's going to be dropped in the same book.
That's one of the things. Go ahead, Zach.
We talked about Blackfyre, which is a very important part of the story, and the concept of the Blackfyres he came up with it very frantically. You can tell. Yeah. The idea that Blackfyres are going to be important.
Not even mentioned in the first Duncan Egg. Not even mentioned.
Not even mentioned.
It would have been like a year before.
But even like I think we first get a Blackfyre mention, like the Blackfyre pretenders in Storm, I think. Okay. So I think we get like one, maybe two, as a setup, and then you get a ton of Blackfyre stuff setting up for meeting young Griff, and then a ton more afterwards to hint at who he is. It's like George will just pull something new out of the history if he has to. The problem now is he got.
When did he write his Dangerous Women entry?
Good question.
I was just around Storm before,
because I believe the Blackfyres are mentioned in that.
Maybe. No, it had all been before.
Yeah, it's before.
It would all been before it.
Okay,
that's all lead up to the dance.
The
dance is mentioned pretty early, at the very least, because we get that early on.
Yeah, I was just gonna say too. Like, I've thought about mentioning that even in theory videos, where it's like, keep in mind as well, guys. Like, the way George does this is he will just all of a sudden in, Feast and Dance, he's dropping all of the evidence for something. So, like, we're going to get things in Winds of Winter that he has not mentioned before at all. Like, it's just going to come up and be important. And, like, there will be setup that has not happened yet that's going to be relevant. And you got to keep that in mind.
But at the same time, as much as I wanted to say, cool, our job means nothing, he freaking... like set up the Red Wedding in book 1.
He said that so he put all
he still does these. He still does Hail Mary really long shots, and then other times he's like, "Oh, guy behind the mask, Frank. You didn't know Frank was important? Well, he is."
I'm pretty sure he said like I put all the important like foreshadowing in the first book. I think he said like any good fantasy author should. The evidence for how it's going to end is in the first book. But yeah, a lot of the, like, especially side plot stuff, he can just bring that in whenever.
Well, and even look at Hodor. Hodor, we haven't had a payoff in the book yet, and that was was book 1. So he does do some big planning, and then other ones, Quaithe is going to be somebody, not nobody. Or Shara Seastar, because she's mentioned just little enough that she might be it.
Yeah. Well, that's and George has said his writing style is like planning a road trip. He knows where he's going. He doesn't know how he's getting there, and he doesn't know what detours he's going to take.
That's not actually how you plan road trips. You do pick which road.
Yes.
Not how they used to do it.
No, he knows the route that he's taking. He knows the route that he's taking. He doesn't know what he's going to see along the way.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, and he doesn't know if he's going to take a detour or not. He doesn't know how long he's going to spend in certain locations.
I do like Matt and Al as Rowan, although they were alive at the exact same time. So.
Which is roughly how I plan my trips also. I just get a cheap hotel and figure it out. But like, I get that sort of mentality, and putting in the Blackfyres was a better way for him to do what he thought about doing with the Bright Flame line, what he thought about.
Well, the fact that the Bright Flames are just Targaryens. It's just a dude's nickname.
Yes.
It's not even a best line. Yeah.
Yes.
Although it also implies Aryan out there, which is an awful name.
Yes.
Who's the blonde man who's all about pure blood and powerful family stuff? Let's call him Aryan. Yeah, that's not nail on the head.
Well, the Targaryens are very they line up with that a little too well. Tom and I almost did a theory video about that before we determined that YouTube wouldn't have been happy with it. Halfway through, Tom said YouTube's not going to be like this one. We're already brushing up against the conspiracy corner of YouTube by talking about like deep theories for a book series. We don't need to break that barrier.
That would have like quadrupled the reach of your channel, and then you would have had a lot of very problematic issues going forward with your comments.
These people just keep talking about these books?
We were here for the conspiracies, man. Why is this? What are you talking about?
We're gonna move on after I say this, but my main theory is that if the Habsburgs did look like Targaryens, incest would be way more mainstream than it is now.
Yeah.
If my incest kid would look like Daemon Targaryen, I don't know, man.
You get Shara Seastars out of it instead of giant like chins.
Yeah.
A muck. I know I've said this before, but a muck is the only person who knows what Shara Seastar looks like. He's the only artist, right? And he made all these attractive, he did all these portraits of all these Targaryens, and he made them all really beautiful. Like, Dana the Defiant, gorgeous, right? Elena Targaryen, gorgeous, all these. And then he's like, hold my beer for Sierra. And he's like, boom. And he makes this bombshell for Shara Seastar. And all of us look at that one picture from a muck, and we're all like, Yeah, I'd go to war for her. Like all of us are like, all right, what's up? Way hotter than Helen of Troy.
He was hiding his power levels for the first few, and he's just like, all right, one time I'll show you guys what I got.
Kaioken times 10 for that lady. All right. The Celtigar axe. Do we say Celtigar or Celtigar? What do we do here? Celtigar?
I would say so I think they say Celtigars in the show. I would say Celtigar if you're, using the term Celt as a basis for it.
I'm not.
Because
I've always said Celtigar.
All right, Celtigars. All right, so the Celtigars. By the way, if anyone tells me where I got that axe, because there's no art for the Celtigar axe.
Ebony axe.
Ebony axe from Skyrim. Whoever said that, 20 points. 20 points. All right. The Celtigar axe is rumored to hold, or Celtigar castle is rumored to hold fabulous treasures among Lord Adrian Celtigar's property. There are Mirish carpets, Volantine glass, gold and silver plate, jeweled cups, magnificent hawks, just some birds. That's his treasures. Okay. A trained seagull. Yep. Okay. Yes. All right. And an axe of Valyrian
just some birds.
Just some birds. He's got a bunch of birds and a cool axe. This guy's great.
Yes, this is my sword collection.
And these are my
birds.
over
here, I just have some birds.
Dude,
it's feng shui.
That's a trained sea eagle. All right. Calm down. You don't got that shit. All right. A chest of rubies, a horn said to summon krakens. Why did I say that? And many fine wines. So, anyway, Euron is going to totally take that castle, get the Kraken summoning thing, and the axe, right? Like that's like got please steal me Euron written all over it.
Sorry, it's in which castle?
Celtigar's castle.
Okay, which is where?
Sea Dragon Point, not Sea Dragon Point.
Cracklaw Point?
Cracklaw Point, thank you. Cracklaw Point in the Crownlands.
Crownlands. That's really close to the Iron Islands, right?
Nope, other side of the world.
Around.
Oh,
out of West
okay.
It's right.
It's really close to
Dragonstone. Actually, the Celtigars in the books currently are loyal to Stannis for the most part.
They are not, or at least one of them flipped, because Axel Forlorn said, "Let's raid Cracklaw Point," because he went for the Lannisters, and it's like, but really because he's got a bunch of cool stuff, and that's why we know about it, because Axel Florence like, can I go and get an axe, please? We all know Euron's gonna do it in the next book.
I wonder if we're gonna
have split between Lannister and Baratheon. That makes sense.
People are dropping crabs in the comments. I hope this isn't contagious. Oh my god, it is. Good thing they got shampoo for it.
I wonder if we're gonna get to Cracklaw Point with a POV at some point, and they're just gonna go and look at all the magical artifacts, and the horn will just be gone, and there'll be a note to be like, Euron was here, lol.
And he pooed on the axe.
Just I don't even need this. I've got so much already. I just wanted the horn.
Is that actually my next slide? No. Oh, it is. That's literally my next slide. Is all the shit he has.
Oh, perfect.
All right. So, anyways, Ebony Axe, the coolest. Like, how was this just mentioned? It's so cool. It's an axe.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not profound enough for us to talk about. It's an axe, damn it! It's super cool.
No, it's really cool. I as someone who appreciates all different sorts of medieval weaponry, axes have always something I've been drawn to. They're very good. They have a lot more utility than a sword actually in combat situations. You would want to arm your soldiers with axes as well as swords, maces too. It's good to have a little bit of
cool
everything.
Viking axe, because a lot of times every artist in fantasy always make the axe handles like this, or axe blades giant because it looks cool. Yeah. But so many
what they did with Robert's Warhammer.
Yeah. But axe heads were really small and could just go right through armor because of how physics and PSI and everything, that swing into a little point, you're right inside somebody's helmet. Not that they understood it worked. I don't think they understood physics in pounds per square inch, but apparently they did because
They just
Picks
had way
and axes were definitely a big thing for a long time.
They just had way more experience with hitting people with different weapons, and they were like, "Oh, this seems to work way better."
Somebody's like,
If you're dealing with-
shut up, nerd.
If you're dealing with fully armored opponents, though, especially mounted ones like knights, you want those bills and halberds.
Yeah.
So you've got long range, pull them off, and then skewer them.
So cool.
For just general utility, throughout history, it's been the spear has been the most common and most useful thing for armies.
So good.
Yeah.
Because it only requires a little bit of steel or
and not
iron or
much
whatever.
training either. You can just stick them with the pointy end.
Yeah, and it gives you long fucking range.
You guys, he made the Song of Ice and Fire reference.
Yes.
You guys hear that? He said it. He said the thing. This guy did.
said this thing.
Yeah.
You're right. Range, it's really easy to make, and it takes all about 5 minutes to learn how to kill somebody.
Well, learning how to use the weapon literally has affected armor or weaponry so much more than anything else, because when you look at like muskets and early guns, right? Like it takes forever to load, right? Like not efficient. Like horrible accuracy, arrows, way more accuracy, arrows, more damage for the
a good flintlock pistol was really heavy, so it could double as a club.
Yeah,
because you were going to need that.
But why did they win out? Why did they win out over arrows? Because it takes a lifelong devotion to arrows, like to bows and arrows, to be a really good guy or a really good archer. But it takes 10 minutes to learn how to pull a trigger. And that's why guns won. And it wasn't because they were a better weapon. Now, of course, they are. But at the time, they weren't. But they won because you could give any Boston dude a freaking musket, and then he can defend Bunker Hill like this.
Yep. Don't look at this end when you pull the trigger, and you're probably good.
Yeah.
Easier
we're gonna literally beat the biggest empire in the world with it. Let's go.
It's easier to teach the one guy to make them, which is more complicated, than to teach all the soldiers to use them, which is more complicated.
So I'm sure archers
and with
for a long time, but it just
with firearms, the soldiers could manufacture their own projectiles on the battlefield as well.
Yeah, which is so
and again with I'm sure that archers through a lifetime would probably learn that, but fletching an arrow is something that takes a significant amount of training to do properly. Whereas casting musket balls, you watch somebody do it once, you know how to do it. And there's even examples of with early matchlocks, they would carry just this roll of rectangular lead, and they would bite off chunks to use in as projectiles once they ran out of the good stuff.
So lots of really cool stuff happening in our chat of everyone. I'm sorry. I always feel like a jerk when I don't want to keep putting up chat because it's like I'm telling you guys that your chat isn't awesome and I don't need to put it up, but it is awesome. You guys are killing it. And Karstark saying a lot of cool stuff. There is a argument.
Wait, do we really think that Euron has crabs?
Yes.
Why not?
Really? Okay.
He's Euron.
I didn't know that.
Bro,
he's probably possessed by every demon.
No, I mean I understand that it's likely that he has it, but were we given anything that specifically says that he has it?
He's a pirate.
Maybe he shaves himself bald down there.
You understand that?
Maybe he's a turtle shell below the belt. You don't know.
He's got the ancient Valyrian waxes.
Blackbeard had syphilis 200 years before syphilis was cool. I'm just saying.
Syphilis has been cool since the Bible.
Yeah, but it wasn't cool.
It's never been cool. Don't get it.
Yeah. By the way, did you hear it's making a huge comeback? No one saw that coming.
I might be giving too much information here, but I always get paranoid because syphilis will by the time it gets your brain, you will go absolutely fucking insane and become the 45th president of the United States. You don't want that to happen to you. So that is the one thing I get paranoid and test myself for every couple of years, even though I have no exposure in recent years. There's no reason to think I got anywhere near syphilis. I will still test it in a couple of years.
You were really nice to all of your exes. Well, if I got myself tested, I would just be insulting my wife. If out of nowhere, it's where were you today? I'm like, Went to the
It's
clinic.
not-
Make sure I don't have syphilis. She'd be like, "Are you banging other people?" No, but
It's
What are you
not
saying?
it's not insulting to make sure you don't have a disease that will make you lose your mind. Is what if you have any inkling that like somebody could have like accidentally given you syphilis, which is not how that works. And I understand.
Absolutely not how it works. Absolutely not how it works.
And look, I just like to know that like there's nothing that I can easily fix with one injection that's going to make me lose my mind. If something's going to make me lose my mind, I want the doctor to be like, "Sorry, you're just sort of fucked."
Well, if you were so worried about losing your mind, did you just never listen to DMX? Cause he's gonna make us lose our mind up in here.
But yep, I can't. Yep,
you can't do anything with
But
that
surely
DMX
that's temporary. Like you'll stop losing your mind once the music stops.
No, if you heard that song in the club, you got syphilis. It's how it works. All right. Speaking of pirates and scabies and syphilis, I know that was me, but still, guys. Let's talk about Euron here. Daggers from Euron. To win over the captains and lords at the King's Moot, Euron's men then poured forward his gifts, including gold, silver, armored, curved swords with gilded pommels. God, you got to have a gilded pommel. Then what's the point, right? Daggers of Valyrian Steel. Let's just move past that because pelts of tigers and spotted cats are more important. Jade manticores and sphinxes from Valyria. Chests of nutmeg, clothes in saffron, ivory tusks, and horns of unicorns. Holy crap. Feathers from the summer sea and bolts of silk and samite. I don't like the order that he has this because you think the Valyrian Steel daggers is the craziest thing and it should be underneath like nutmeg.
It's not alphabetical, is it?
Oh my God. Who does alphabetical lists? What
I have it itemized, actually. Here you go.
Am I the only
It's on a
person who has
spreadsheet.
the alphabetizer? I literally have alphabetizers saved in my favorites. So when I have a big list, I move over, alphabetize it, move it back. I literally have that.
I put little labels on them and everything. My quartermaster and I spent 6 hours getting them organized. In addition, we have all the daggers by blade length.
Yeah, but nutmeg's more important. Get out of here, loser. It's a spice.
It's a spice that can get you high, motherfucker.
Yeah.
We actually put them all in 1 pound baggies, and we spent a lot of time weighing them.
I remember
The daggers or the nutmeg?
Yes.
Did anybody else sell oregano to the 7th graders telling them it was really good weed? Or was that just me?
Can't say that I've done
I
that.
was selling weed, but I had oregano in case like a lame Sevi asked me. I was in like 9th grade. And
I sold them. Never mind. That wouldn't be funny.
Moving on.
I guess Tom is in the chat now because the Interesting Nerd Club just posted and it wasn't me. The quartermaster is my favorite position in football. That's correct.
Oh, that's great.
Well, while we're on,
it's like the water boy, but it's the food boy.
While we're on the subject of things we maybe shouldn't say on a live stream, has anyone?
Let's go!
Has
Fuck
anyone
monetization. It's not Michael's money.
Has anyone else ever done dagger dabs, where you do a dab off of a dagger with like a little honey straw type of situation?
No,
you fucking drug lord.
But we did.
Colorado.
You earned that mustache and hair, bro.
We did knife hits. So it was not with dab, it was with flour. But and we would do it underneath a gallon jug with the bottom cut out. And so you'd hit it in there, it would fill that up, and then you'd hit that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be real here. When you said dagger dabs, I'm like, that's super dangerous. What if somebody's like over here? And they get hurt?
What if you let go of the dagger when you dab?
I remember I was already like not smoking weed the first time I ever seen anyone do like a dab, and it was like I never even heard of it. Guys like taking the oil, he used the torch to heat up like a tungsten freaking thing, and then he put the little dab of oil in between it, and it liquefied, and he sucked in. And I already quit smoking weed at that point. I haven't got high for a very long time, but I was on vacation. I was in Eugene, Oregon. This is a friend of mine, and I was like, it was actually the dude. who I told you guys in the green room that I did the thing with Chris Cornell's daughter. We're moving on. I don't want to talk about it, but anyways, that guy. That sounds way funnier when I say it that way.
Yeah, I was gonna say keep it vague.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Not really. Chris Cornell's daughter was never there. It's a joke. It's all euphemism. But I haven't smoked weed in like 10 years, and I did a dab, and I like straight up was effed up. Like I'm like in the corner, just like I look like I don't know, like the mummy from Brendan Fraser when he only like isn't brought back to life yet, when he's just a mummy. I was just like, in the corner, bro.
I had a similar situation. I visited a friend in college who lived with someone who just did massive dabs that didn't even get him high at that point. By that point,
God.
And so
Wood
he loads
Booger
us
is
up.
a nerd. Sorry, I'm kidding. It's weed oil that you smoke.
Yeah.
Up. Anyways, go ahead.
And so he loads us each up a huge dab like his size, and I do like half of it. He did his full one. I do like half of it, and I'm just like zonked into the like couch. And then he's like, "All right, we got to go drive back to the actual apartment where they live." And so we're driving through a very large city with lots of traffic, and this guy has just done like twice the dab that I did, and I can't move. And my friend, I'm just sitting there. As this guy's whipping through traffic, texting on his phone as he's like going through lanes. I'm like, oh, this guy's about to like crash, huh? Like,
my panic attack would be having a panic attack, bro.
I can't believe how relaxed I was, because my friend turns around to me. He's like, yo, this guy just got his car back after he totaled it like 6 months ago. And my brain just explodes. I'm like, oh, sweet. This is how I die, huh? Like,
yeah, you guys are fucking with me, right?
All right. Like, I was just completely like zen about it somehow. But I'm like, oh, all right. This is how I die. Somehow that maybe the
has nothing to do with the oil of concentrated THC that you just inhaled into your little lungs.
Yeah, just looking around, like, oh, cool. Like, this is the end. Nice.
Where were we, Drew? So we just did anything about Euron's daggers that we want to talk about?
It's just it kind of harkens back to like the earlier thing of like the King's Boot. Tom and Mira and I have not talked about it yet for our election series, but
it is my favorite chapter. Literally.
It's my favorite chapter also. Yes,
probably. I don't want to rate them right now, but I would have the Drowned Man's chapter in my top 3. I'm assuming.
So are Valyrian steel daggers like kind of common?
Yes and no. They're more common than swords, but they're not common.
No one's gonna be the dagger house, right?
People.
So it's not like anyone makes a huge deal of having one. But
there's probably some landed knight out there who, wears one because he thinks it makes him lordly.
House dagger.
There was some line from Tyrion where he mentions like Valyrian steel isn't as common as it was before the Doom, but there's roughly like 200 blades in the 7 Kingdoms. I assume most of them.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
We only have, by the way, 20 that we're talking about, and not all of them are even.
Because that gives him enough room to give a lot of people, weapons that can kill whites.
Zach, you were saying about the King's Moot before I interrupted.
No. It's Well, basically, the point of the King's Moot is to like make a demonstration of why they should back his king. It's a lot more like a party convention than a regular election, and he shows.
It was a lot like the old Norse things. Isn't it a lot like the things, like the first ever elections that we know about?
There were in some Norse, and especially I know that the Celtic people had tanistry, where the person who was Tannist would take over. Tannist basically just meant old, wise, and popular. Basically, everybody says the next logical person to take over, if it's not a son, if it's not a brother, it's X person.
The most wise,
But
if
we
don't have a lame person to give it to, let's give it to an experienced person. But
there's also sometimes a person who sucked up and was good at the internal politics, and this is what Euron's doing. Yeah, this is what Euron's doing. Hey, I know there's like a decision to be made right now. Here's all this cool shit I have. Yours now, if you vote for me. And Valyrian steel daggers are a very nice thing because they're very rare. Or the very least rare compared to just any other weapon. Valyrian steel is hard to come by. Not everybody has one, and you getting one, it could be a social status thing. It can be just a treasure to trade, or to, whatever, barter with. And knives hold a particular, level of prestige. Like, people show off their knives.
I just realized
swords.
This would imply that you can take a large sword like ice and turn it into two, but it looks like you can't take several smaller pieces and turn it into one larger one.
Well,
otherwise, I think
the fact
Tywin would have built. I think Tywin would have built himself a sword if he could do that.
The fact that he was able to take ice and turn it into Oathkeeper and Widow's Wail is insane. Tobo Mott is probably one of the best, but like he's considered one of the best blacksmiths ever. And that was the only way. So he couldn't forge Valyrian Steel, but he's able to reshape it. But it's not like Tywin could have did it at any chance, right? It's not like he could have went and bought 30 daggers. You need a Tobo Mod, is what I'm saying. Like it's a huge feat that somebody was able to do that.
I do wonder if Euron has like captured a Tobo Mott level smith at some point, because he's been
probably.
to Valyria.
He has Piat Pre just in his trunk.
Right, and he's got
Literally.
a suit of armor that fits him. So I
Yeah.
kind of wonder if he just found a bunch of artifacts in Valyria and he's got some dude with his tongue cut out who can forge Valyrian steel.
Are we still talking about dads? It's hash oil. Move on. All right. I'm glad Zach brought up Gilbert Farwind. But can we talk about Gilbert Farwind really quick? He was the guy in the King's Moot, right? So he's the dude who probably banged seals. I want Michael talks about stuff to reread the chapter about it, because I need a what's up with Gilbert Farwind's eyes video, because everyone talks about eyes. Eyes are extremely important, right? Purple eyes, blah, 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 blah. His eyes are constantly changing color. And it's straight up. It's in the text. I didn't make this shit up.
Yeah.
And Aaron Damphair just goes, well, those are the eyes of Satan. Like, those are demon eyes. Like, he freaks out because he sees Gilbert Farwind's eyes. How are we not talking about? Like, I think Gilbert Farwind not being a fan favorite, like, talked about, is bullshit. Like, he is such a cool. Like, he's like, let's all become kings and we'll sail to the Americas. Like, he is just insane, right? But not only that, but he literally says the whole to go east, we go west. Like, he says half of, like, Dany's thing. And then he's like, bye, Rust. And then he's like, let's sail east. And there's actually a very small thing in the fandom that is, like, thinking he's gonna go get Dany. Like, there is like one little bit that he's gonna like literally shepherd the very powerful queen from the other side of the planet through the Sunset Kingdom, and it's all Gilbert Farwind, and he has crazy eyes. How are we not talking about this? That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that is really interesting. It says they change from gray to blue like the sea, apparently.
Yeah.
Which,
and he bangs seals.
Yeah.
Which brings me to Eric Ironmaker's wedding to a seal who's the stand-in for Asha, because I just love the idea that Gilbert's at the wedding and he doesn't think it's weird. Like, he's the one dude who's like, we marry seals all the time over on Lonely Light.
He's just like, it's a little bit weird that you would marry them. They never ask to get married. You can just bang them without bro.
You just bang them, dude. They're not into matrimony. Zach, how you doing? Yeah. Just staying quiet. Sorry, we're saying some crazy stuff, and I got quiet.
Yeah,
it's good. My connection keeps cutting out, but no. You're right. Like, he is weird and strange, but he is like weird and strange in a way that's like prophecy adjacent.
Yeah. Well, that's it. Is again with what we were saying about how we might think we know what George is going to pull out of his butt. We think that he set up all these other people to go get Dany because of something Quaith said, or was it Quaith who said, beware of the lion or the sun's son, and the, there is no, and the crazy eyed seal banger, right? But What if it just is? What if it's just the Hail Mary and Gilbert Farwin shows up like, whoa!
She doesn't need to beware the seal banger because that's who takes her home.
Yeah.
Quaithe is the one.
Why is she warning? She's not going to warn about Gilbert.
Yeah, Quaithe is the one who says, to go west, you must go east.
The betrayal for love was...
Yeah, go ahead.
You know, Danny, I love you, and I'm glad that we've been banging this whole time. So over on that rock, there's this leopard seal who's been giving me the big eyes, and I'm going to betray you.
But...
Sorry, Zach's cutting out.
Zach is cutting in and out. He's just like, look, you may be the mother of dragons, but I prefer seals.
Seals.
Yeah.
Crazy Eyed Sealbanger is my punk band name. I'm glad that all we're getting from Zach is him cackling.
Yeah.
Hyena laugh. Well, I hope
hopefully my internet's better now.
It is back, yeah.
You froze and all we could hear is your maniacal Joker laugh.
Gilbert Farwind, piercer of seals.
There you go. Oh my god. Go watch my Gilbert Farwind video. I love it. I love Gilbert Farwind.
It's like, so mother of dragons, how do you give birth to them? The seals and me can never seem to make it work.
We've been trying for a long time. We're gonna go to a maternity doctor to find out why we can't have kids because I've been in love with my seal. We're only at number 5, by the way, of 20, and we've been going for an hour and 10 minutes.
Yeah, we may need to speed it up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, if we don't get through it, we don't get through it. But
yeah,
we've also very debatably not talked about them most of the time. Like most of the time has been spent on tangents.
I went from not this slide to Gilbert Farwind because there was a small chance I could talk about Gilbert. He's like, so the King's Boot. I'm like, Gilbert Farwind. I get to talk about Gilbert Farwind. I'm going to step away and open a window because I am sweaty. I'm a sweaty Teddy. And for some reason, we're having a crazy mild winter for the frozen north.
It is very nice out today where I live as well. And
it was 40-something degrees for us, and that's insane for February. It's supposed to be negative 40.
I have on my Snapchat memories from late February from like 5 years or so ago. Kitty cat. I have pictures of when I dug through a snowbank. Like I had a giant snowbank near my house, and I dug through to make like a fort that was big enough to fit like 6 people in like a snow cave, and we've never had snow since. Every year since, there's just been no snowbank.
I live in snow.
Go ahead. I'm gonna step away. I'll be right back.
Zach,
somebody talk. Oh, Zach
might have cut out again.
My internet's doing that thing again.
What are you guys snacking on? I'm eating Sour Patch Kids.
I have some of those Starburst jelly beans off to the side here in case I get them.
Those are amazing.
They're so good. They're so addicting, though. I
haven't had those since like high school, man.
Yeah, no, they're like the best jelly beans I've ever found.
Oh, but I don't know if they're better than Jelly Bellies, but they're a different category almost of food.
Yeah.
I'm gone for 1 second, and we're on the jelly bean versus Jelly Belly argument.
We've derailed Taco.
Starburst jelly bean versus Jelly Belly.
All right, let's get into Dark Sister. So Dark Sister is a famous longsword. Now we're back to one of the famous ones. Famous longsword of Valyrian Steel. It is one of the 2 ancestral swords of House Targaryen, and the other being Blackfyre, of course. It may have been forged for a woman warrior originally, as it is slender blade and designed for a woman's hand. Although only one has carried it, as far as we know. No one wielders Queen Visenya Targaryen, King Maegor, because like I said, he had both. King Jaehaerys the First, because he also had both. Prince Balon Targaryen, Prince Daemon, the Rogue Prince, and Prince Aemon Targaryen, then finally Sir Brendan Rivers, and that's probably who has it now. That's all I got. What do you guys think about Dark Sister? Underrated? Maybe?
What are Albany's gummy bears?
They're the best. Albizi gummy bears. They're the best gummy bears. That's it. I agree.
I'll have to look into that. I'm sorry. What was the question?
Dark Sister. How do you feel?
Oh, good shit, man.
I am really interested in where it is. Like,
I love this.
It's up
in
against the
I don't
wall
know.
in Brendan's cave.
it probably is. Yeah.
Are we spoiling Fire and Blood, or are we not doing that? For all the
Is
people
it-
who watch,
Is
the
it like
HBO Dragon
relevant?
Do you
Dance
think it will
with Dragons
happen in the book
spoilers?
or in the show?
the
Do you
show?
think it's a big deal? For the show?
100%. If it doesn't happen in the show, I'm going to be pissed.
Oh,
actually.
you're
Dude,
talking
it is
about,
so
I
it is
know
so
what you're
easy to
talking-
read Fire and Blood. It's so easy to
Well,
read
You
it.
can do it.
Okay,
You
so,
can do it in a day or two.
Okay, all right. I don't want us to spoil it, and there's a reason. Because I feel like every single A Song of Ice and Fire YouTuber has just kind of decided that we're not going to without... I missed the council meeting. If there was a council meeting, maybe Michael got invited. It was Michael and like Fantasy Haven and Quinn the GM and Glidus and all these other people. And they were all like, so we don't talk about it? Because no one's really talking about it. So that's why... when I did my video about Sadok the Shadow, I like asked my YouTube, like, are you guys cool with this? And everyone's like, yeah, do it.
So
Because I'm afraid to talk about the ending of Fire and Blood on YouTube. I don't want to piss anybody off.
I don't talk about it much, but it's also partially just because it makes
don't
less
got much.
research for me.
Yeah.
It makes less if I can just be like, well, I'm not going to talk about that because it might be spoilers for Fire and Blood, meaning I don't have to go back and look at Fire, or it might
Well,
be
like
spoilers for House of the Dragon, and I
You're
don't
the-
have to go back and look at it.
You're the whole, like, old gods guy. No offense.
Yeah.
Not to put
Yeah,
you in
yeah.
a corner, but you put yourself in that corner.
No, that
all
is,
right?
yeah.
You
That
have
was the-
REM'd yourself there.
That was like the reason I focus on that so much is because that was what was like the unanswered question in my mind when you go online and you read all the theories. Like a lot of people have theories for like characters and stuff, but no one really had a ton of them for the magic. Like
Carl, if they know who I am, they know who Quinn the freaking GM is. He's got way more subs than I do. All right, go tell them about me. Come on, and these guys, these amazing fellows here. But
we might have put on at some point in the future. I got to reach out and ask. I think he's busy. Same with Fantasy Haven. We'd love to do an episode with. I'm putting that out there now, so I have to follow up on them.
You guys were on Fantasy Haven's one of their.
We sponsored for my album. We said do the ad however you want, ad read. Indy gave us a very direct shout out, which was great. And then we also me and Tom, as well as RIG and Quinn, were on Mira's channel for the trial of Jaime Lannister, which was a blast. And we've talked about doing another one. I've been I don't know how much I'm supposed to disclose, but I've been pushing to do one about Lady Stoneheart's contract dispute.
So
that sounds fun.
All right.
That would be good.
I shouldn't go there. I was going somewhere before we started this.
the council of or before.
Oh
the
no.
council?
I was gonna say for you, if there was anything that you need to talk about when it comes to old gods, is the fact that Aemon freaking One Eye literally landed his dragon on the Isle of or the green
The Isle
of Green Men, the Isle of Faces. There you go. Like he's one of the two freaking people. There's
Aemon
Howlin'
One-Eye-
goddamn Reed and Aemon freaking One Eye.
Well, there was was it Alan of Hull, I believe, who lands there and chats with the Green Men, and then
Does
Aemon. Yeah, he lands there, chats with the Green Men, and then no one knows what they talked about. And then he
it was
leaves.
Oakenfist who does?
Yeah, it was.
That's even
it was
crazier.
Yeah, it was not Aemon One Eye.
It was
The Hobbit?
Oh, okay.
It would be spoilery to say when Aemon One Eye was near the Isle of Faces.
Only the most famous battle the entire
Yeah.
Dragons. If you guys don't know, come on. No.
I've read Fire and Blood, I think, 3 times now. Still don't remember how it ends.
The thing is, I had like wiped
CD
all of
spring.
that from my brain before House of the Dragon happened. So like going into season 1, I was chatting with a friend as we were watching it. I'm like, I don't remember like anything that's gonna happen.
Well, constantly as it happens, I'm like, oh yeah.
Right.
But
You wanna know
I
how
don't remember
much
it
of
coming.
a complete
Oh, yeah,
freaking nerd loser I am. In between the first and second episode, I listened to the entire audiobook in that week. I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
I inhaled that audiobook to get ready, and I did it in between first and second episode. Why? I wouldn't even say because I had nothing going on. I was doing all my normal stuff. I was working a 40 to 50 hour week. I have a child. I was doing all that stuff with the headphone in and killing at that freaking book.
I enjoyed being surprised. I enjoyed being surprised by House of the Dragon Season 1. I'll be much less surprised now that I've been making content on the universe for half a year. But
we are only at 5 or no 6. We did we just covered Dark Sisters. So I'm gonna get to episode or to Sword 10 really quickly. Yeah, and the way I'm gonna do this, I'm making this up now. If you guys don't like it, we can discuss it. But I'm gonna put it up, read it, and I'm gonna say, does anyone have anything specifically, lore, theory, whatever, like to say about this sword?
No tangents,
and then we'll move on. Yeah, let's get to Sword 10. So after Lamentation, we can tangent for a little while. We'll be at halfway, and I'll feel bad about that. So if you do have something lore-wise, not about how you once hung out with some famous person's friend or whatever.
How fun the sword would be to do dabs off of.
Yeah, if you don't, if you got something actually for it, we'll discuss it. And we do have a couple really big swords here, so that might, I'm open to discuss them. But yeah, so first off, Heartsbane. Heartsbane is the two-handed Valyrian greatsword of House Tarly for the last 5 centuries. So this is 500 years. So let's compare that to Bright Roar again. Like this one was 500 years opposed to within 100 years. That's a big change or a big difference. All right. For the last 5 centuries. Oh, never mind. I did that wrong. So it'd been about 100 years, right? When did the Doom of Valyria was 4 centuries?
Yeah, 400 years ago.
Okay, so never mind. This was only 100 centuries. Oops. All right. The sword, I was trying to make a point, and I proved myself wrong. Sword has been an heirloom for House Tarly and passed down Lord of the Hornhill to the next. The 2 known users in the books is Savage Sam and Randall Tarly. I like that Randall at least uses this one. Like, it's not like ice. Like, Randall rocks this sword. Like, he uses Heartsbane. We got anything for Heartsbane?
I wonder if Sam will steal it in the book as well as That's my main question. Also, just thinking out loud, if he stole it in the books and brought it anywhere near Mance, when Mance was pretending to be Rattleshirt, he wanted to fight with the big greatsword, so maybe he gets Heartsbane. That'd be useful, more useful than Sam, but I don't know.
April, May.
Sam is probably going to discover the secret of Valyrian Steel somewhere in the Castle Black libraries.
Oh, most likely. He's literally doing
it. If anyone's gonna.
April, I wish I had the ability to quit watching that show when I stopped liking it, but I have this morbid curiosity. I go on 100-mile bike rides, and what I mean by that is I love pain, and I really had to finish this show I hated. And I hated it way before everybody else did.
I rage quit at season 5. I was like, oh, this is no way this ends well.
I rage quit at season 5, and I kept watching. Yep, because I'm into the pain.
Rage quit once a week on a weekly basis.
I have this joke about cyclists that here's my tangent. All right, I'm doing.
Yeah, I was gonna say Taco definitely led.
I'm making one joke and then I'm backing away. All right, but it's just a joke. I love this joke where I do like 100-mile bike rides. I did a 201 in 2 days. I did 220 miles in 2 days last year. And the joke that we constantly make is that cyclists are way more masochists than any like S&M people. So like in like Pinhead's like daily people who he needs to bring in, like the Cenobites have to bring into the realm of pleasure and pain. He's got like Pinhead from Hellraiser's got to pick up like 1 or 2 people with like hooks in their nipples and then 1 like cyclist, because we are definitely into pain as much as that guy. And I just love that the visual of like a dude in full spandex and a bike helmet, like, hey, I'm here for the pain. What's up, guys? Hey.
Carl Karsnark has a good point in the chat too. The Macers being able to reforge their links of Valyrian steel probably means they know way more than they're letting on.
Oh, absolutely. Good point. And
surely somebody else would have noticed that.
All right, I'm sorry for tangenting, and don't call me Shirley.
All right, yeah, we'll try to get through. A few.
All right. Well, this is a really small sword. No one has anything to talk about.
All right, hold on. I need to write these down because I need to chase that down now.
Ice is the ancestor greatsword of House Stark. The two-handed sword is made of Valyrian steel and is named after an ancient sword of the same name. Lord Tywin Lannister takes ice from Ilyn and has Tobo Mott reforge the great sword and the two Valyrian steel swords. So the four known users are Walton Karstark. Oh my god, no, it isn't. God, this beer is kicking my ass. One beer, guys. It's freaking too strong. Walton Stark, Cregan Stark, Eddard Stark, and Cerilyn Payne. So today I did a who is your favorite known wielder of ice poll. Guys, yeah. I'm running the show and I can't talk. And I don't. Let's see who won. So
I love
your guys' favorite?
By the way, I love the fact that you added Ilyn Payne as a wielder of the thing because
he did.
Yeah.
He wielded it. He owned it for a while.
He wielded the heck out of it.
Walton got 3%. Cregan got 32. Eddard got 56. Boo! You guys are shills. And Ilyn got 9 out of 321 votes. And by the way, I voted Cregan. I'm not impartial.
Cregan disrespect. Cregan is a phenomenal character. I don't want to spoil something that's almost certainly going to happen in the HBO Dragon Show #2. But he shows up for a very brief part of the book, and it is one of the best parts. It is so cool to have a guy show up for one chapter, be one of the best characters, and then be like, okay, later, dips, and doesn't come back.
They job all the Riverland guys. They spend an entire chapter being like, hey, the Muppet Tullies are super cool. And Benjamin Blackwood is super cool. And then Cregan shows up and make them all look like kids. And it's like, you just jobbed those guys, didn't you, George? But thanks to Preston Jacobs.
He's there to be the badass.
So Preston Jacobs just did a chapter about how the Stark and Vail just completely screw over Rhaenyra in the dance, and I think because of that, I got a few comments that were like, Cregan's actually super lame, and here's why. And I think it's Preston, unless people actually did have that thought before now. But Preston was like, he purposely waited until it was almost done, and then he showed up to control a kid to take over his kingdom for a day. But I don't know. I wasn't going to do tangents. Anyone got anything for ice? I'm so bad at this. Somebody else run my show for me.
Rest in peace, Ice.
Yeah,
it's
probably.
It's
a really cool sword. I think the question is it going to be reforged?
It's probably patterned after a Scottish claymore. Which it goes along with the whole northern Scottish, stuff. But that is the question that you just asked. Can it be reforged? It seems like if it could, they would probably be doing something like that. But
Nick Grimes nailed it. Like, later losers, I'm gonna go bang Allie Blackwood. Boom, good old Alley Cat. Oh man.
I think so. The swords are going to be in the same place. They're going to be reunited. So there's a potential that they get resurrected. The sword gets resurrected essentially. The sword gets reforged into a new one, and that could be, I think, a contender that people aren't really considering for Lightbringer is a reforged ice Song of Ice and Fire. You bring back a sword that is ice and is also fire. Bada bing, bada boom. Ooh. That's my ice theory.
You don't even have to stab your own wife, Azor Ahai, you monster.
But that doesn't mean someone won't. You might. They might do it anyway. It's not needed.
Reforged ice might go John might still kill Dany, but use the sword that his father gave, and then it comes back out all flaming. He's like, "Well, I guess I'm Azor Ahai now."
Turns out
I wonder if bringing a Valyrian sword back to life is in any way akin to the way a fire priest brings someone back to life.
You're saying that he gets two swords together and then he whispers into their sword ears and they reforge into ice?
No, he kisses them, obviously.
Sure.
Oh.
Yeah.
I would love I would love for Thoros Samir to whisper really sexy things into my ear and I come back to life. I'm just saying, if Beric Dondarrion didn't bang Thoros once,
his breath is awful. There's no way.
Yeah,
but like I'm not into Thoros. I'm not saying I'll swing whatever way I feel like it, whatever day. But Thoros is kind of just usually considered ugly and weird and gross. But if the dudes bring me back to life, if you want to make out, I mean, I kind of owe you, don't I?
Yeah, it's fair. That's a fair trade-off, I would say. Little bad breath. Little bit of bad breath for eternal life, basically.
Yeah. I think I can manage.
Little cave loving. That's the sex with the redhead in the cave no one ever talks about. There. All right. We're not doing tangents, Taco. Thank you, guys. Yeah. Lady Forlorn, you guys ready?
Yep.
Alphabetical, yo. Lady Forlorn is the ancestral longsword of House Corbray. It is made of Valyrian steel, of course. That's why we're doing this. Lady Forlorn is traditionally passed down from Lord of Heart's home to the successor, but there have been a few instances where the Lord lends the blade to a younger son or brother for their lifetime, and Lady Forlorn is returned to the Lord afterwards. Lady Forlorn is named after an ancient sword of House Corbray, just like how ice is. Lady Forlorn is as well. Known users Carl Corbray. By the way, Carl Corbray is so criminally underrated. No one talks about Carl Corbray. My last time going through Song of Ice and Fire, I was like, how come? Or Fire and Blood, I'm like, how come no one talks about Carl? Anyways. Corwin Corbray, Gawain Corbray, Lord Corbray, which is Lynn and Lucas's father, and then Lynn Corbray, the very, very beautiful, dangerous man there wielding it. So, anyways, Lady Forlorn, awesome.
Wait, so when it says that it's named after an ancient sword,
it's just like how ice is. It's the family had a Lady Forlorn, and then it was just a normal sword. And then when they bought a Valyrian steel or got a Valyrian steel, they named it after the famous sword from their house.
Got it. Okay.
That makes me just thinking out loud here. Makes me wonder if rather than reforging ice, are they going to go down in the crypts and find the old one?
Ice?
Ooh. Like find a 400-year-old blade somewhere, and John's just going to be like, oh. This might be important.
Made of the iron that like keeps the ghosts at bay, correct? Yeah. Because they have like wrought iron on these statues that keep the ghosts at bay. So they go find the wrought iron ice, which by the way would have rusted away. Your theory sucks. You're the worst. No one
they would be magically protected.
Yeah, obviously, Bran the Builder's like chilling behind the collapsed stone wall, just still alive, wielding ice, just playing with it.
Oiling it.
I've been here for 8,000 years.
Just chilling. It's stabbed into like a weirwood root to like preserve it, like somehow with magic. Someone has to pull it out like the sword in the stone.
Is this gonna be the next video you make out of one of my live streams, you bastard?
I may be on the lines of something I've been thinking about recently. Yeah.
yeah. You didn't just whip that out.
that one.
You tried to say that so casually.
I've been
Bran
thinking
the Builder alive down there, hooked into a werewood. I don't know. I'm just throwing these words.
That's exactly the next video that I'm gonna make. The sword in the stone thing with a weirwood root is improv.
You said it's
Bran
so
the Builder
casual.
Being alive. Well. Okay, all of the bodies in Bloodraven's cave are still stuck to life down there.
Do we know that, or does Bran just thinks the eyes follow him? Because when I first read that, I always
one
read
of them
them
opens
as
their
dead.
mouth. One of them opens their mouth, though. Yeah. So so basically, my thought is Bran the Builder basically still alive down there, and he's just like the Westerosi Mr. House. From Fallout New Vegas.
Yeah,
I knew
you didn't mean house.
Ooh, that's kind of genius, actually.
That's my next. That's probably like that's in the works as one of my.
My name is Taco.
Videos,
I get Bethesda references. This almost became. I almost did a Skyrim lore channel. Like I almost did it.
You could do both.
In between an Elder Scrolls lore channel and this, but I can't do an Elder Scrolls lore channel because it's literally as dead as this fandom, and I need to have one alive fandom.
Well, that at least for sure has a next entry that is probably coming before Winds of Winter.
I don't know.
Maybe we'll see.
Maybe, maybe.
I do gotta point out there's some evidence to your theory. What is Dragon Glass? Obsidian. Who made Fallout New Vegas? Obsidian. So
there you go. The connections were there the whole time.
Whoa. Fuck, man. All right. I want to go on a huge tangent right now, but I won't.
Are we at sword 10? Yeah, no.
Yeah,
coward. You coward.
I was gonna go on a whole Mr. House is also Odo from Deep Space Nine.
Dude, don't you have a Hunter S. Thompson lookalike contest to get to, Rust?
How could that possibly be an insult? Seriously.
Do you have one of the greatest authors of all time to get to?
I'm halfway through a script about his daily routine.
Cocaine. All right.
And LSD.
Cocaine.
There's alcohol in there too.
No, it literally says in his daily routine of doing drugs, it's like cocaine, and then it says start taking cocaine seriously. It's one of the lines after he's done it like 30 times. And then it's
after he starts writing, he takes a little LSD for creativity.
Noon, drop sass, or midnight, drop
and
sass.
then at like 3 a.m., he just takes a handful of Haldol and some whiskey and sleeps until 3 p.m., at which point he takes his morning cocaine.
Dude, that is one of the most insane things. So Lamentation. Lamentation was a famed Valyrian steel sword from House Royce. Sir Willem Royce wielded the blade during the Dance of Dragons. However, some rumors have claimed that Sir Warwick Wheaton wielded the Valyrian steel sword during the storming of the Dragon Pit, likely Lamentation. Sorry, I'm like burping now. So I wrote likely here, so I didn't really want to talk about the storming of the Dragon Pit because what we talked about earlier of whole spoiling House of Dragon. But yeah, so maybe there was a sword there and maybe this guy wielded it. But anyways, it's the House Royce Valyrian steel sword. I am like sweaty and burpy. Holy crap. I am not hot. Michael's not going to want to make out later, and that's ruining my night.
It's, what can you do?
I'll settle for Russ.
Yeah.
All right. What are we doing here? We finally got through this.
We're ready for tangents. I was just gonna say.
Of course, I read a Chuck book. Have you met me? This dude loves choke. Can't you tell? All right, go on.
I was just gonna say when you mentioned taking cocaine seriously, it's like, oh yeah, he was just microdosing on cocaine up to that point, and then it's like, no, now though.
Can I tell an Emo Phillips joke?
Now it's the lines. Go for it. I love Emo Phillips.
Should I do it in character? I can do a pretty good Emo Phillips.
Go for it.
Cocaine is all fun and games until it's your turn to treat.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I love it.
I saw him live.
Smith. Sorry.
He opened for Weird Al on one of the tours I saw him on. It was great.
Oh, that would be amazing.
My favorite Emo Phillips joke is a woman was very upset with me that I didn't open the car door for her. Goodness. She was mad that I just swam to the surface.
Swam to the surface? Yeah, no, dude. I love Emo Phillips. I was walking down the street the other day, and somebody on a roof was hammering, and he called me a paranoid little loser in Morse code. Chuck, oh God, Emo Phillips.
That's
and I love it whenever he has to do an impression of somebody who just goes, and I do that on some of my. I know no one gets, like, I make really off the wall references during my bids all the time, but a lot of times when I'm doing a reference, like doing an impression of somebody I don't like, I'll go ooh, and it's the Emo Phillips joke, like, because Aegon the First had to get a Kingsguard because his sister wife was all like, oh, I don't want you to die. And it's an Emo Phillips reference. No one catching it, but yeah, that's what it is. Ooh, be protected.
I do love references where you're the only one who understands the joke. Like,
you have no clue how much I do it. You know how many strong bad email references are in my fucking bits?
There's a Family Guy episode where Quagmire gets a cat and he names it James, and he just laughs at his own joke where he's like, James, that's a person's name. So whenever someone is named James, I'm just like, James, that's a cat's name. And like, no one could ever possibly get that joke. But like, I get it, and I always find it hilarious.
Dude, I made like a Riff Tracks reference that somebody caught. Not even a Mystery Science Theater 3000, a freaking Riff Tracks reference. And I was like, all right, I'm in the right fandom. I can't even remember what movie they're making fun of, but the dialogue is just really awful. So they just go, you can't just say things. Words mean shit. And I can't even remember which movie they're ripping apart. Like, I can't to this day. And you can't just Google a Riff Tracks. Like, I don't know. But somebody, I said that during one of my vids. I can't even remember which one. But somebody goes, nice Riff Tracks reference. And I was like, whoa, holy shit. I forgot what I was even referencing.
Since we're on obscure,
I have a problem with that where
go ahead.
My roommates and I will like resurrect words to use more commonly than they usually are, and then like it just becomes part of my language because I talk with them a lot. So it'll slip into like YouTube videos sometimes. So like we say detritus instead of trash more like all the time. We love the word detritus, big fans of it. And it's like whenever I'm like talking about stuff, I have to stop and make sure don't say detritus just to regular people because they're going to think that's weird. But the worst one is I've started using the term the nookie like all the time. I brought that back from the 90s when I'm talking to them, and I'm like, I cannot just bust out the nookie in like a conversation with somebody at a bar, or they're going to think I walked out of a time machine from 1998 and they're going to start explaining 9/11 to me.
Well, like, if you want to put a cookie at my I'm okay with it.
Taco, please highlight April May's comment where she says that she makes the same James joke. Apparently, I'm not the only one who gets the joke.
Where is this at? April May.
I say the same thing when I meet a new James.
That's so funny.
That's amazing.
So interestingly,
dude, she got my Wonder Shows at reference earlier. She's killing
Mayor
it.
West. Yes. Mayor West actually repeats that joke, but the cat's name is Kevin.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah. Adam West, everybody.
Adam West is amazing, yes.
So now that
nobody messes with Adam Wee.
Now that that's really funny. Now that we're doing obscure tangents, you guys remember that really horrible Goosebumps book / episode where he follows a comic book character into a like invisible kingdom? I didn't know until I was watching a YouTube episode about how it's the worst Goosebumps episode. I'm like, I'm bored at work. Let's give this a whirl. And I watched, and I was like, oh, I love that. It's like the Phantom or something, and he's following this comic book character around. The comic book character's main bad guy, the Gazelle, is played by Adam freaking West. And it blew my fucking mind. I was like, Adam West was making fun of himself way before Seth MacFarlane told him it was cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. There's so many Adam West appearances where he's making fun of himself like throughout television. Like he had a good sense of humor about it, and apparently it was dirt cheap to get him to like show up in your program. So like tons of like young like animated shows for kids and like also sitcoms just to be like, yeah, we got Adam West for an episode. Why the hell not?
Michael, boy, why are you even bringing up Valyrian Steel Weapons?
We just did 3 in a row so we could get to these tangents. This is
all right. Everyone's starting to actually get mad at us.
I do want to point out Carl Karsnark's comment. I like that. Everybody calling me Florida White Detritus sounds way more classy.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. All right, fine. Let's do.
All right, we'll do another one. Yeah.
All right. Longclaw. All right, moving on. All right. Longclaw is the ancestor of Valyrian Steel bastard sword of House Mormont. Longclaw is a bastard sword of, or a hand and a half sword, which means it's good. Yeah, we know what it means, Mark. What the hell? All right. With 3 fullers increase. Why did I write this shit? All right. Where are there? There are ripples in the steel? Yeah, it's just Valyrian steel. All right, whatever. It's got a bear head. All right, Lord of Mormont, Jor's grandfather, and then Jor's father, and then Jor, and then Jorah, and then Jon Snow. So it's like Blackfyre, right?
That's the thing. I was gonna joke. We already covered Longclaw earlier, but I don't I don't know if it actually is or not, but I don't have strong feelings on that theory, I
So
guess.
either Aegon's got it, or the Golden Company's got it, or it's fucking Longclaw.
I kind of think that Illyrio might have it as like one of the things that he's like doesn't he mention he has gifts that he has to give to Aegon?
It is it's a cut paragraph from an older draft of I have a sword for the boy.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And he cut it for a reason. Whether not to give it away or because he changed his mind, it's George, so fucking
you never know. It's tough to I do use those old cut drafts quite a bit, but I'm also always like, you never actually know, but it's interesting to think about.
We as a fandom, by as a fandom, I mean not me. I literally try not to do this, but people use sample chapters of wins like it's all of a sudden written for a book. Like, we don't actually know what's going to be in wins. Like, he can change it at any point.
Yeah.
But sample chapters are taken like they're part of the book. Like, bro, we don't know if frickin' the Forsaken is even in the book. Like, Forsaken is a chapter that you can't talk about Euron without bringing up that amazing chapter. It's probably one of the best chapters ever. And guess what? Not in a book yet. We don't know if it's going to make it into a book. So I still give a disclaimer anytime I talk about wins, just because I think it's weird that we, like, dude, I'm writing a book and I'm on the rough draft. I don't know what's going to stay in. Yeah. You know, like, I don't know if any of it's going to stay in. I'm going to write it again.
Same here. I'm racing to the finish, and it's like, that's what I have to do. I'm like, I have to get to the end, finish it, and then I can edit it.
Yeah. I do wonder if some of his early sample chapters, at the very least, were like things where he's like, okay, I cut this from Dance, so I can read this one, but you never know.
Half of those have to be cut from Dance. They're all finishing things from Dance.
Right. That's kind of the feeling I got, where he's like, okay, this was supposed to be in the last book. It literally just didn't fit. So I'm going to read it to you. But again, as you say, he could still change it.
Do you guys think Ben Plum has it? That's from chat. That's from chat.
Ben Plum? He is sus. He is sus as fuck. I love Brown Ben Plum. I did a video for Brown Ben Plum. I love that character. I don't know. I just do. I got nothing. Besides, Wood Booger Farm has my favorite name in the comments. Everyone else has to fucking step it up. I've been reading Wood Booger Farms way more just because of his name. I've never seen him before. Welcome.
I made a video response once to a guy whose username was Hot Dog Water Jewel Pod. Read his name out loud and everything.
That's great.
All right, can we talk about actually the most important Valyrian Steel Sword that y'all are just fucking sleeping on? Because it's in the fucking name. Michael talks about stuff. If you don't make a fucking video about this Valyrian Steel Sword, I am disappointed, and you have to shave your mustache. Fucking deal with it.
All right.
Nightfall. Nightfall is a Valyrian Steel Sword belonging to House Harlaw. Dalton Greyjoy took Nightfall from a dead Corsair, and it is unknown how the sword passed House Harlaw, and it has a moonstone in the pommel. Lord Dalton Greyjoy used it, and now it's currently being used by Sir Harris Harlaw. It's named fucking Nightfall. That's the opposite of Dawn. It's the opposite of Lightbringer, motherfucker. It's important.
That is
it's such a really weird magic-y sword. And also, like, the it was taken. It was like, you know, they paid the iron price for it. This is all of, like, in every, like, story of, like, a horrifying cursed item, they take it not knowing what they have grabbed. You know, like, there's no warning, they just take something, or there is warning. And
Dalton Greyjoy was apparently like, fuck this, I'm giving it to the Harlaw.
yeah. So the idea, it might be like a cursed or evil blade, or have some weird blood magic to it, which is all the, like, same thing in George R. R. Martin's way magic works. It is powerful, and therefore it is cursed. There's no magic that just doesn't fuck you up. So, like, that could be really important. And how does it not end up in Euron's hands?
If only they couldn't take it to Curse Purge Plus right across the street. That's a Rick and Morty reference? Is that still cool? Season 7 was good.
A moonstone in the pommel is also really interesting, because those are specifically used for magic.
Moon stuff. David Lightbringer has conditioned me to think anytime they bring up the moon, it's important.
I think he's probably right about at least, like, on a general level, I think he's barking up a tree that there is something up in the tree. Like,
well,
I don't know.
All right. You
like,
know how many times the ice had made a short or something or a pole and somebody goes, moon meteors. Duh. It's like, yeah, go watch more David Lightbringer. Like, that's all David Lightbringer shit is moon meteors. Is like, no one thought that Azura High, like no one thought Lightbringer was breaking apart a moon and bringing down meteors / dragons until David Lightbringer brought it up. I at least have to think that. And
yeah, I
I'm
think
not
he was
saying
probably
he's
first
right.
to that.
I'm just saying that if you use moon meteors as your like end all argument, I know
you know which fandom you're a part of. Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah. There is all this stuff though too about how like stuff is like always compared to moonlight. Like even in the first prologue, like the shadows
absolutely.
that they see are like they look like moonlight quickly, like they're white like moonlight.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of comparisons of the Weirwood to Moonlight. The Black Gate, I think, is like compared to Moonlight or Alive with Moonlight or something like that.
Isn't there a Valyr or a Weirwood door that you fly out of named the fucking Moon door?
Yeah,
like
right.
Moon. Like anytime we're talking about the old gods, Moon has to be somewhere in there. And I think just Nightfall, that's a very specific name. Like you can name it like, you know, Throat Slasher. Like you can name a sword anything you fucking want. Naming it Nightfall is so specific against Dawn, like Lightbringer. Like there's gotta be a reason why it's called fucking Nightfall. Like it's like I'm not to say, Michael, hurry up and make this fucking video, but for real, like there's got to be something going on with Nightfall.
I do probably have to look into that. Yeah,
there's not a lot about it. I pretty much said everything we know about it. There's not a lot known about it.
That's one of those things that George is going to drop all the Nightfall lore in Winds of Winter, like in the early chapters, then pay it off.
Well, you guys didn't get it? I brought it up 2 books ago when I said one fucking sentence about it.
I mentioned it more than I mentioned the Blackfyres. Come on. Like, you should have seen it coming.
No, for real. Fucking Maynard Plum was wearing Moonstone when Brendan Rivers was glamoring through the Moonstone into Maynard Plum. Right? Yeah, dude, Wood Booger knows this shit.
What if there's a way with like blood magic that Euron can use that sword to, while he's holding it, look like somebody else, right? Like we get a scene where there's two, because Company Cat has like the Euron thinks he's Jon sort of thing going on. What if there's 2 Jon Snows at a certain point? One of them is Euron glamored as him with an evil sword. That'd be metal as fuck. Not
to suck the non-existing dick of another YouTuber, but Company the Cat gets their shit fucking on it sometimes, dude. Like when I do a Company of Cat video, sometimes I'm like, dude, you're channeling it. like oh man. So some of the like sometimes it stinks when you know some of the smaller ones, by smaller ones I mean not like I don't know who the top, like not Geek, Preston Jacobs, Golitis, Dex, but like Company of the Cat kind of nails it a lot. That's all I'm saying. Zach
was going to say something.
No, that was exactly like, I was going to agree to that. You covered it.
Yeah. So anyways, come on my channel, damn it. All right. Where are you? All right. So next one, it went silent. I gotta
go for the next one.
We got the first split of ice. We got Oathkeeper. Oathkeeper is a Valyrian Steel Sword longsword, which is forged by Tobo Knot of House Stark's great sword Ice, along with the smaller blade of Widow's Wail. It is gray-black with red ripples through the steel, with the red almost as dark as the gray. Its scabbard glitters gold and is decorated with a row of lion's head and smoldering red rubies. The pommel has a golden lion's head, of course. Why not? Screw it. With ruby eyes that shine like 2 red stars. Only 2 wielders, Sir Jaime Lannister, as he walked over to Brienne Tarth to give it to Brienne Tarth. Jaime wielded it for that scene. He's like, wow, this is a great sword. Here, Brienne. So low key, like Oathkeeper is cool as fuck, right? We all have to agree that it is like the spiritual successor of Vice. Like it's the cooler of the two ice blades.
Can you imagine if Mott had succeeded with making it like bright red, like he was trying?
Yeah, but I almost like the fuck up. I like that it's a weird.
No, that's what I mean. That's what I mean.
Red.
Like, can you imagine if he'd succeeded and made it like gaudy, like almost like it had been painted?
Yeah,
I like I prefer the way it came out.
Yeah, the first time I even remember where I was at work doing important shit while I was listening to that chapter, and it like I still remember the first time I heard it because I just pictured this sword like, God, that's fucking cool. Like,
yeah,
I really like Oathkeeper.
Yeah, it's definitely like it's interesting too that like not only he can reforge it, but he can recolor it as well. Like that is an extra
See you,
little bit
Woodbooger. Sorry.
Yeah.
But they're leaving. Sorry to interrupt you, Michael. You said
No, I was just filling space there for a minute.
And that's
no one wants to talk about Oathbringer. All right, we can
and that's the I don't know if it's the same technique, but Renly was, I believe, boasting about how his green armor had the color set in it rather than being painted on it. I don't know if it's the exact same technique as you would use as he was trying to use on Valyrian Steel.
But since it's Valyrian Steel, the Valyrian Steel's like, we don't fucking mix with anything, yo.
He probably like combined it with the magic that he used to reform the swords to try to make it work.
Tobamont, hashtag magic user. All right, as long as everyone's done with Oathkeeper, we'll move right on to
who's he sacrificing to make this magic happen?
Random peasants in King's Landing.
Random blacksmiths that are somehow king's kids.
He's just taking all of his like strongest competitors and just killing them off to do his magic like metal.
I mean, there has to be blood involved, right? There's always a blood payment.
There has to be blood involved.
Okay.
At the very least, there was in the original forging. Maybe he can get away with it in the reforging because there's already dead people in the sword.
I gotta be right back.
Yeah, like I could see it being literally like because.
Let's see how far we can change the subject before he gets back.
So, do we just start talking about football while he's gone?
Well, Apollo 13.
Okay. Oh, I was going to start doing Emo Phillips quotes again, but football's fine.
I don't really know enough about Apollo 13 to keep talking about it. I mean, I know a bunch about it. Yes.
How do you feel about the NFL invading Brazil, sending the Philadelphia Eagles? Do you think they should send the Washington Commanders to South America to conquer as well, or are the Dallas Cowboys a better
Honestly, so long as they're keeping them in the same time zone, I do not care. I don't want to watch the NFL invading, Frankfurt, Germany, with these weird start times. News. It's unpatriotic. I don't want to wake up at 9:30 on a Sunday to watch football. Okay, that's rude. It's inappropriate.
Yeah, it was a long story. You were gone for a while there.
Yeah, man, dude.
I wouldn't got a true.
When you watch it back, you'll see how organically we got there.
I want everybody to know I only drink really strong dark beer because I'm a hipster and Trulies. Because you got to mix it somewhere in there. If you mix it up really dark beers and Trulies, you'll get to Coors Light eventually.
Did you see that SNL digital short about how everybody's making seltzers now?
No, but I think I can write it.
They had like JCPenney. They had like JCPenney branded ones, and the flavors were like menswear, stuff like that.
JC Claw. All right, we ready for the most child-friendly and PC named sword? Orphan Maker. Jesus. Orphan Maker is a Valyrian Steel Sword belonging to House Roxton. Not anymore. It is a Valyrian Steel longsword with a black blade. The sword's current whereabouts are unknown. Sir John Roxton and, of course, Lord Unwin Peak. So this is what I brought up earlier of a dude who just has to prove that he's important, so he whips out a Valyrian Steel Sword. But, of course, it's not even his house's sword. And if Igor Bittersteel is still in the comments, he's going to say House Peak rules. But we all agree that House Peak fucking sucks, right? Like they're the worst, right?
I don't remember anything about them.
I love you, Russ.
You're my minor character expert, Taco. So if you say House Peak sucks, House Peak sucks.
I'm an expert?
Yeah.
Am I an expert?
You are.
Yep.
If I'm an expert on any part,
You're certainly a specialist.
You're an expert on minor characters.
I got a master's, not a doctorate. All right.
Yeah.
No, I found out that I take the lore way too serious when I think right away when I started doing this stuff, I was like, right, everybody knows what this is, and everyone's like, dude, no. I was like, oh. And then I thought I wrote a very easy trivia game, and
it demolished everybody. Yes,
killed everyone.
I wasn't
the
gonna
only
bring it
person
up,
who did
yeah.
decent was fucking cheating. And Russ is really lucky that I like him as a person, because that really fucking bothered me. But we're good. We're over it. I'm over it. I fucking moved on. You Hunter S. Thompson looking motherfucker.
Well, like I said, I thought it was going to be a blowout because I'm not a content creator for this
a blowout,
topic.
But me versus you guys. I thought I was like, here's the first 10 questions. They're the easy ones. And then after round 1, it was like 2 points, 1 point, 2 points. I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Anyways, well, Taco's gone. Emo Phillips actually sucks. Oh my god, Mike, that fucking killed me.
Yeah, it went crazy while you were gone. It was yeah.
Emo Phillips doesn't suck. So back to my Emo Phillips references. If my favorite religion joke is an Emo Phillips joke, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, go check it out.
I know the one. It's very long, but it's very
die
good.
heretic joke. It is, he sees a guy who's about to jump off a bridge and kill himself, and he's like, do you believe in God? And the guy goes, yeah, I believe in God. And he's like, are you a Christian or a Jew? And he's like, Christian. I don't have it all memorized, Zach, but I'm going to do
I remember, yeah.
Yeah.
Are you a Catholic or a Baptist? He's like, Baptist. He's like, okay. Fundamentalist Baptist or liberal Baptist? He's like, fundamentalist Baptist. He's like, okay, me too. And he goes, fundamentalist Baptist Great Lakes region or fundamentalist Baptist, I can't say, Baptist Eastern region. Fundamentalist Baptist Eastern region. Oh, me too. Fundamentalist Baptist Eastern Region Council of 1812 or Fundamentalist Baptist Eastern Region Council of 1910? And he's like, 1910. And I say, die, heretic. Dude, I just realized how hard that joke is because I can't say fundamentalist Baptist at all. Holy fuck.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I have heard that one before.
It's
yeah.
one of my, anytime I talk about
really
religion
good.
with somebody, and we talk about how lame it is that like people care about the sects of Christianity, and it's like, yeah, if you've never heard that fucking Emo Phillips joke, like it's brilliant.
Yeah.
All right. Anyways, Mike boy, take that shit, yo. Fuck you. Emo Phillips. I'm kidding. I love you. I'm kidding. Scare away one of my few viewers. So Red Rain, or are we done with Orphan Maker? There's not much with Orphan Maker. It's just some Unwind Peak bullshit, right?
Yeah, I mean, is it only used to kill people who were like right before you strike the killing blow? You're like, wait, do you have kids or?
Whoa! I almost killed somebody without kids.
Yeah, like we can't go off brand here.
Is your wife dead? She's alive and well. You're free to go.
Yeah. Can you bring her here so I can get you both with one swing?
John Roxton was, I believe, just like he died during the war, and then Onion Peak just kind of like stole his friend's fucking sword instead of letting it go back to House Roxton. And then later, when Onion Peak was kind of like half-ass ruling the kingdom during the Licini Spring, he whips it out like, whipping out his precious or whatever. And it's
gonna say funny. This sounds like a Smeagol situation.
Yeah, no shit. Yeah, I'm glad we both came to the same conclusion. But yeah, it was like a look how important I am. I have a Valyrian Steel Sword, but it's one that he stole from his dead friend. Like it's not even like his. And Onion Peak sucks. If they actually do the Licini Spring during the show, like if the show goes that long, which I don't think that it will, like I doubt it. But if it does, Unwin Peak's literally like the main bad guy for last season for sure. So Red Rain, right? All right, let's go. Red Rain. Everyone said yes. You guys all heard it. Red Rain is a Valyrian steel sword belonging to House Drum. So back to the King's Moot, Zach. Let's go. The sword came in possession of House Drum when Hilmar Drum took the blade from an armored knight with nothing but his wits and his wooden cudgel. I'm assuming it was more the cudgel than the wits.
It sounds like you just got a really lucky blow to the temple. And that
I do like his wits. He's like, look over there.
I could see like, a situation where you you tell him a riddle and then you smack him in the head.
Or like homeboy was fucking sleeping and he just caves in his skull. I used my wits.
Like, wait, can you remove that armored helmet really quickly? I think I saw some poisonous spider crawl in there. He's like, oh shoot, and takes his helmet off, then he smacks him in the head.
Is that a Targaryen's hot sister? Where?
Wow, I'm about to get killed in battle by a guy with a lousy haircut. Hey, it's not bam.
I'll have you know, this hair's phenomenal. He pulls the helmet off.
This shitty haircut cost me $50. Well, I hope your barber spent it on his shrink. Jeez. All right. Where was I? So he took it with nothing but his a wooden cudgel and his wits. From then on, he was called Hilmar the Cunning, which is fucking great. The Lord Dustin Drum draws it and displays Red Rain during the King's Moot. And then, of course, the only two guys we know are Hilmar the Cunning and Dustin Drum. I can't talk or read, so I'm glad I picked this as a hobby. Fuck, man. Fuck. You guys are all, like, talented, and I'm just over here mumbling my way through 1,000 subscribers.
Clearly there used to be a lot more Valyrian steel swords to go around if we do not Ironborn are able to get so many just by tripping people up and not even remembering where they came from. And then it's a testament to how well preserved treasures are and how the loot your ancestors got are so important to Ironborn culture and all that they have so many, because it feels like we're just tripping over and this guy showed up the Kingswood, here's his fancy sword, and Euron's here's fancy daggers. It's clearly important to them.
The other option is also
what you're saying is the Ironborn actually has a fuck ton because they just steal them from all the other houses.
Well, that's the other option is there was a lot of them and now they're all gone because the Ironborn stole all of them, and 90% of them got lost because the Ironborn are just unorganized.
Not only that, if you sink one ship, 40 blades went down with it.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
You didn't know that left-hand Lucas Cod has 4 fucking Valyrian.
The squishers have all of the Valyrian steel of Westeros. It's all squishers.
That'd be interesting. If Valyrian steel is resistant to water and doesn't rust, and Euron is lifting things out of the water, he could be getting a shit ton of Valyrian steel. I know where all the sunken boats are. I'm going to go get the sunken pirate treasure to arm my men with.
He's warging a kraken because he can just do that, apparently. Or someone's warging a fish and just, swimming down there and taking them from shipwrecks and, oh, yeah, here. The dolphin brings me daggers every time we pass a new shipwreck.
This is the video you're gonna write off of.
This is the one that's actually come up with on the fly in a taco stream.
That's fucking great.
Some Ironborn or Euron is warging dolphins to get all his Valyrian steel.
That's so good. So House Rain, right? Red Rain stole it from House Rain. That's what everyone thinks, and I go with sense. That. Yeah. I think I brought that up during my Dustin Drum video. Go watch it. Click like, subscribe. Thank you, guys. Don't say anything.
Yeah. I mean, I thought you were. I mean, I
took a drink of my Truly. What, do you think I'm gonna talk during it?
Yeah, I thought you were doing the Jeff Dunham thing where you were gonna be and then you still talking through it all.
I'm not that I'm calling Jeff Dunham. He's an extremely talented ventriloquist, but I'm not.
And sometimes he can even tell a joke.
Occasionally.
Well, I mean, he came up with, why don't we do racist jokes but make the puppets say it?
Right. That is
It's not
mostly
racist
it.
because the puppet's saying it. Yeah.
Well, the puppet's black.
The puppet says it, and then he goes,
No, for real, we all felt for it. We're all like, wow, the puppet's saying stereotypical stuff. But but he's black, he can.
Get a load of what this jalapeno pepper on a stick is saying, my God. And Jeff Dunham looks completely shocked by this, so he's clearly an okay guy.
I can't believe the puppet. I would like to say distance myself from the comments the puppet made.
Right, that is roughly like 90%.
I keep pushing buttons. I'm sorry.
just keep looking pretty with your rose-colored glasses.
He was gonna go get his Jose the jalapeno on a stick, but then thought better of it.
I fucking love.
I did have a pitch. I did have a pitch I gave to Tom once that was Jeopardy, but I phrased the questions in such a way where you answering correctly makes it seem like you made a really problematic assumption.
Wow.
And I don't know if that flies.
What is that they control Hollywood for 200? Wait, whoa.
Yeah, it was just talking about the power supply. Jeez.
Holy shit.
South Park.
Isn't that just Black Jeopardy from SNL?
Yeah.
It is just Black Jeopardy from SNL.
You nailed it.
I am not original. Yes.
Damn you, Tom Hanks.
I was also
all the good shit.
Thinking South Park's "People Who Annoy You" bit for Randy Martin.
Hey, did you
Naggers. It's naggers.
Whoa.
YouTube's not going to.
So, Michael, I spelled it for a reason. I didn't do that on accident. You did.
I enunciated it for a reason, Taco.
Thank you. Thank you for putting the really long.
I did.
On
I
top
had
of
like three.
A.
I had like 3 A's in a row just to be sure.
Hey. Well, I still lost all mine.
If YouTube demonetizes it, it'll just be like, I think there was a stream with Rust and Mira where like I watched the stream and then like the next day and then like a little while later it was 15 minutes shorter and then the next day it was like 10 minutes shorter because she was just like editing out parts that were getting demonetized.
Oh no.
Oh, we've done that a couple times. Interesting Nerd Club. There's a couple videos that just got shorter 3 different times.
Yeah.
So,
okay. That one's good. It's almost always game shows too.
Yeah.
After I got monetization, I looked at which dollar bills were green and which were not. And you would never guess. Most of mine were fine. The small Paul videos, somehow I had to like ask and it got by. I've never had any, once I've like said, hey, please look at this again. They always became green. I've never had one that hasn't. But the majority of them were my Pokemon role-playing game videos. And it's like, how are those more risque? Like, we're fucking playing Pokemon.
Nintendo's just going hard in the paint, thinking like maybe they're doing some like breaching of IP or something.
Yeah, we built the D20 system from scratch. My buddy Barrett built it from scratch, put it all into a software. Go watch this. Go watch our role-playing game. It's fantastic. But like, we tried really hard not to be stealing anything. And
I think we could have an entire we could just stop and make the rest of this conversation about Pokemon. I'm pretty sure everybody here is pretty well versed on the topic.
I just caught a Heracross. My bug catcher just caught a Heracross. You know how fucking cool that is?
That is the best bug Pokemon, probably.
I had all right. I just realized this video is not out until tomorrow, so no one.
Spoilers.
Yeah, I see your ghost balloon. I see it. Diploom.
I don't know a goddamn thing about Pokemon.
Yeah, but that's because like you were alive during the 70s and you were just hanging out with Gonzo, the fucking lawyer, the whole time.
Someone who has been alleged by the Interesting Nerd Club to be me may have made a Pokemon fan game once.
It's been alleged by many people that you made a Pokemon fan game that Tom and I are in.
Many fine people say you can find the Interesting Nerd Club in there, and I may or may not, someone may or may not eventually put a taco trainer in there as well.
That'd be funny.
The character I play is Sam the Bug Catcher, and I play an 11-year-old bug catcher. And I do. It was supposed to be Bob's Burgers when Bob does the voice for like random objects, but it just became Morty Smith. So like sometimes I have to move back. But it's this. Hi, I'm Sam. I do this voice. And for some reason, I've never had a comment that it's awful. And I don't know why. But if I like anytime you see a bug catcher in Pokemon, you hear that voice, right? Like they just look like, oh, Scyther. Like they got that awful prepubescent voice. And there is something I do when I try to manly up when I'm like around a hot girl. But I realized I couldn't do a real manly voice. I had to turn that squeaky voice more manly. And it's really difficult where I'm like, so like I just strain my voice.
Steve has an interesting point in the chat. Scyther is a cooler. He says it's not cooler. Better, it's cooler. Yes, I agree. It's much cooler. It's not as good. It should be better stat-wise than it
bug fighting typing is fantastic.
Yeah.
Bug flying is awful.
Yeah.
Bug flying is a god-awful type. And I know because I own a lot of them because half bug Pokemon, like freaking Surskrit, whatever his name is, Skirskrit, the freaking water bug, goes from water bug to bug flying.
Oh, yeah.
God damn it. Like I already have a Butterfree that I named Free Butter, which is a reference no one's going to get. But
Nope.
It's a chopping mall reference. Moving on.
Okay. Yeah.
Like I said, earlier when it's like, I almost did a YouTube channel about that. Horror movies was up there for me, but I realized that there's a lot of horror movie channels, and I'm subscribed to most of them. And then it was almost fighting games, and it was Pokemon for a while. I straight up did Pokemon content until I said screw it and it's like about some fire stuff. But yeah. All right. You guys want to talk about Sandok the Shadow's giant sword?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. A lot of Sandok fans out there. I learned that recently. A great curved Valyrian steel sword with a dragon bone hilt wielded by Sandok the Shadow. Moving on.
Cool.
Perfect.
Yeah, you got anything?
That's a big sword.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, bye, Rust. Hi, Rust.
Yep.
Hold on. My thing everything blinked. I didn't hear what you said.
No, you left.
You said hi and bye.
As you bye. Hi.
Oh, on my end, all four windows went into the little spiral thing.
So, here's something that I find really interesting about Sandok, and I think Michael can do something with this. So, you know how Kingsguard and Shadows is like a thing, right? So Kingsguard having language. What word am I looking for?
They're always referenced as shadows because they're always following right behind the king,
and they're also pure white,
right?
Like others, and they're very Night's Watchy as well, right? The vowels are very similar. So Sandok, there's a scene earlier in
I'm sorry, the vowels are very similar to what?
To the Night's Watch. The Night's Watch and Kingsguard are very similar. Like, because the Kingsguard vowels are literally made after Night's
borrowed from,
I thought you were comparing Kingsguard to Shadows still, and I was like, Shadows?
Shadows don't make vowels? Come on.
Yeah, I was like, what? Okay.
And that's why yours doesn't always follow you. He never made a vow.
Your shadow didn't promise to be at your side all the time. Mine promised all the time. That's where I get most of my video ideas, actually.
I actually saved my Shadow's life, and so he feels like he owes me a blood oath, so that's how I got mine for life.
My Shadow is very Gary Oldman Dracula, just does its own thing in the background.
Do you guys let your shadows take time off when you're in the dark? I do.
Yeah, mine does.
Yeah.
PTO. All right, so there's a scene earlier.
They got a strong union.
There's a scene earlier in Fire and Blood, where during Jaehaerys' reign, where the Kingsguard is hanging out with Jaehaerys because Jaehaerys is really smart and he chose a loyal Kingsguard over anything else, right? He chose fighters that really want to serve him opposed to anything else. So when Rhaegar Baratheon shows up and he's like, you can't marry your sister. What are you, sick? And Jaehaerys is like, I can and I did. F you and the F. And Rhaegar like gets mad and he's like,
which hole is the F?
the face.
Oh, got it. So there's several holes as options.
Give the deal. Anyways, that's not what I'm. It's not part of the theory. Leave that out, Michael. Leave that part out. All right. So the Kingsguard get ordered by Rhaegar Baratheon to take the king into custody, and they go, "Yeah, we're not the Handsguard, we're the Kingsguard, and you can f off, right?" In the F. So, so they are loyal to the king at this point, and right. So the point I'm trying to make is the hand coming up to the king in the Kingsguard gate saying, "We side with the king. Leave." So later, way after the dance, a lot more corruption's going on, and there was Dance of the Dragon. A lot of more evil stuff's going on in the world, right? So now the king is Aegon the Younger, and his brother has a hot Lysini wife, and the hot Lysini wife has Sandok the Shadow. All right, follow me here. And now the Hand has the Kingsguard with him. And they show up and they say, "You have to come with me." And the like awesome Viserys, like 12-year-old Viserys, is like plants an axe down and he goes, "You pass this axe and you're dead." And then the Kingsguard go to take the king hostage, and Sandok the Shadow slaughters them all, kills most of the Kingsguard, and kills the.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, kills the Lord Commander. Sorry, the Hand isn't with him. Because, no, the Hand is the Lord Commander. Can't remember his name at the top of my head. But something Waters, I think. But anyways, kills the Lord Commander, who is the Hand, who named himself the Hand, essentially, and all the Kingsguard. Sandok the Shadow does it. So what I'm proposing here is the corruption, right, of the old gods, and it's showing the corruption of the shadows. The white shadows are now being the evil ones who are trying to kill the king. And now Sandok the Shadow is protecting them. It's a stretch, but I think about it like those scenes have to mirror themselves, and how the Kingsguard are earlier protecting the king, and then Sandok, again named the Shadow, is the one protecting the king later on.
Yeah, that is interesting, and it would fit. It would fit basically with what we talked about with the others, basically being shadows that are there to like guard the source of power. In the end, right? Like that's basically the same sort of imagery. Whereas if like the Kingsguard have gone away from their duty,
but it's what you're saying with the corruption,
right?
Of the old gods used to not be so corrupt, right?
Right.
And now they are going against the real power, opposed to for the real power.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe I'm fucking reaching, but
that's not a bit of lore I'm super familiar with, to be honest. I'll have to look into that.
It's called Fire and Blood.
Yeah, I know.
Fucking that's book, loser.
I know. I haven't actually done a full read through of Fire and Blood, to be honest. That was one of the ones that, like, other than the main series, I haven't done like the full cover to cover of any of the other stuff, really, which is weird. Like now that people like ask me questions about this series and are like,
dude, April's.
Hey, you know,
let me know if you.
Yeah, leave Russ.
You cut out in the middle of whatever you just said, Russ.
Dude, the internet doesn't want you to talk at all. Sorry, go ahead.
Let me know if you need the ebook or audiobook of Fire and Blood.
Okay, yeah. Maybe we'll take you up on that.
All right.
No.
Yeah. So April loves it. So if April loves it, you have to make a video for it. If the glove does not fit.
Yeah. No, I mean, Taco, I keep telling you, if you've got a theory or two, just make your theory video.
Dude, fuck that.
You can do it, man.
You do theory videos, all right? Don't corrupt me.
No, you can do a theory video.
Dude, make my Clayton Suggs is a fucking Dragon Seed video.
That's already on my list. That is on my to-do list at some point.
You piece of shit.
It is. It's on my to-do list. When that video comes out, Taco, you will know it's either really close to House of the Dragon Season 2, and I feel like it'll do really well, or Michael didn't have time to finish his actual theory video this week, and he quickly pumped out Clayton Suggs as a Dragon Seed, because I feel like I could bang that out in a day if I put my mind to it.
All right, Zach's gone. He hates Clayton Suggs. So I just love the fact that it is straight up brought up that Ares has a bunch of mistresses and has bastards, and we don't know who one of them is.
Yeah.
It's never mentioned. We don't know one of them.
They got to be out there. It's not like
gotta be out there.
It's not like George to not have them hidden somewhere.
Yeah,
like he's got so many Robert bastards hidden all over the place.
He loves King's blood. He rubs it on his face when he's alone at night. Like he loves it.
Dragon seeds.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Like it's not called Dragon Seeds for a reason, right? All right. Do you want to talk about the lamest one that definitely doesn't have any really crazy lore tied into it, that they're not going to like crazy lore that they're not going to make an entire show about? Are you guys ready? This very unimportant Valyrian Steel dagger.
Yes, just the casual cat's paw dagger that means nothing else.
Bro, it's all show. Like
who sent the cat's paw?
It's not even called cat's paw dagger in the books. Like there's literally nothing about this dagger. It's just
yeah, but who do you guys think sent the cat's paw?
I don't know.
George has
I don't know.
Seemingly gone like out of his way to be like, guys, it was Joffrey, which is like
totally not Joffrey.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't make sense. No, it doesn't make sense. And George is like, guys, I'm gonna answer this in this book. And then he has two characters come up to the same conclusion that it's Joffrey in that book.
Yeah.
And it's like neither time it makes sense.
And both of them are like, because I want to think it is. Like they don't. Neither Tyrion nor Jaime have a fucking ounce of proof.
He even like has someone misremember what Joffrey said. Like send a dog to kill a dog or something, and he hasn't misremembered as like send a dog to kill a wolf or something. But like that doesn't even make sense because it's not like he sent the hound with the dagger. It's he
sent a cat.
I think George intended it to be Joffrey, but that is boring. So I think maybe it was time traveling Bran. Because that's just the default whenever anything happens. It's like, well, the timeline would have gone wrong if no one tried to kill Bran. So Bran sent a guy at the exact right time where his mom could barely save him because that caused her to go to King's Landing. And then therefore,
fucking time traveling Bran.
When in doubt, just blame time traveling Bran.
How did the cat's paw get that dagger?
So if anything, I think Littlefinger sent it, and only because it's Littlefinger's dagger 100%.
But how would he have known that Bran would be in a state where, I mean, how could he have predicted Bran falling and all that?
That's why I really hate this theory, because any of the theories, I don't really have any, none of them really make sense.
No, the stretch that people make with it being Littlefinger is they basically say Littlefinger sent someone, he sent someone there and said, kill a Stark child, whichever one's easiest. And so the cat's paw,
I got a comatose one.
It was like, oh, well, clearly now this one's
this is like
easiest.
Stabbing candy out of a baby.
Right.
It really feels like I guess it could have been possible for Baelish to have told him it back in King's Landing, but the idea of setting the library on fire as a distraction does not seem like something that he would have come up with on his own.
That too.
So that would be someone with knowledge of at least the layout of the castle that designed that plan for him. But
although I was just thinking,
I just say it was probably just like he was a manifestation of the old gods. That was it.
Hey Zach.
That would be time traveling Bran if it's the old gods.
No,
yeah, close enough.
Hello.
Oh, you are. Well, fuck.
Hold on, I think I'm feeding through.
Kind of. I'm gonna read the card now. If everyone.
I was just gonna. One more thing is the one thing about setting the library on fire is Joffrey is the one who does love destroying books. So maybe that's more evidence in Joffrey's camp because he's like, maybe just burn a bunch of books. That's fine.
The ghost of Baelor the Beloved did it.
Maybe
he loved burning books. I really wish he found out that later on we can just ban him. Got to burn him. Just ban him.
Yeah.
Yeah, screw it.
There
Yeah.
are multiple people using that law to challenge the Bible being in Florida schools at the
I was
moment.
going to say, it never notably backfired on any politician recently
Yay.
to try ban books.
Oh my god. Can we... Politics sucks. All right. Zach, no offense, Zach, to your entire life. But
this isn't the second stream in a row.
It's been alleged by many people that that's my career. Several people. Many people have said this.
That being your career,
there's no direct evidence.
Is about as true as this dagger meaning anything. All right, so the unnamed Valyrian Steel Dagger is a weapon used by the Cat's Paw during an assassination attempt on assassination. I added way too much SHs there on Bran Stark. Although the blade is plain, it is finely made of Valyrian steel and has a smooth dragon bone hilt. And it's not important.
Yeah.
You know what? No, let's talk about if I made theory videos, Michael, since you have to keep bringing it up.
Since when you talk about when you will make theory videos,
no, fuck it, I'm not. And if I do, they're gonna be anti-theory videos. Like, I know the two I'm gonna make. One of them is this dagger means nothing, and the squishers don't exist. I'm making
It'd be really funny. It'd be really funny if the squishers exist and this dagger is crucial to understanding them.
That's the thing is like this dagger being important. This dagger.
The cat's paw was a squisher.
Squisher sent the cat's paw. He climbed up out of the well out by the weirwood tree and is just like, "Hey,
shut up! People are gonna start making that video. Like, she gotta shut up."
That is as logical as Tyrion is a time traveling fetus, which it has been a theory in this fandom for so long. Like that one, I remember on Reddit. I'm pretty sure I saw the original Tyrion as a time traveling fetus post, and I'm like, okay, no one actually believes this. Obviously, this entire thing's a meme. I just skimmed it, and then to my horror, like a month later, I see in other threads people seriously arguing for that theory. I'm like, wait, that was serious the whole time? Dude. And then I went back and read it, and I'm like, oh no, this guy's serious. This isn't a whole meme. Like it.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so I've already talked about my anti-squisher stuff of how I think that Nimble Dick is just a bigot. He's just racist. And that it's just sisterman. Like he once met a sisterman with the webbed hands. And then a week later, he's like, there's fish people who steal children. And it's just him being racist. Like, that is definitely my squisher theory. And of course, like, I know that, like, David Lightbringer, like, whispers squishers to himself in the middle of the night. Like, I know that that's how he snores. Like, he really thinks, like, the squishers are really important and that they're, like, literally, like, the Crannig men breeded with them and children of the forest, and that's how you have Crannig men. Some crazy stuff. So me saying the squishers don't exist is immediately going to anger, like, a quarter of the fan base.
Yeah.
So, Is David Lightbringer camp a quarter of the fan base?
I don't know.
Probably, roughly, yeah.
I mean, I think everybody's in all the camps, or most of the camps. Everybody,
I think if you like, it's not really like there's competing camps. It's that there's like a like, you know, at the top, like everybody is an Alt Shift X subscriber, and then there's the next tier down people who are Preston Jacobs subscribers, and Glidus I feel like is on the same level. And then it just like, how deep does your like subscription get down? Because like when you're down to this level, I'd be like shocked if you weren't subscribed to Preston.
Right. You're definitely subscribed to him, but that doesn't mean that you believe him. And
then
you
want to hear his perspective. You're not going to buy it, guaranteed.
Preston, I have to be at around a 50-50, where every once in a while I'm like, yeah, Taina Merryweather's definitely weird. And then other times I'm like, no, like Ashura, like Val isn't the twin to Jon Snow. What are you doing here? You know, like
he says
crazy things.
He says in all his videos, I'm probably wrong about half of this, which if you like talk about averages, that's correct.
Yeah,
he says theories. He either says theories that are entirely true or entirely like, where the fuck are you getting any of this from? With no in between.
Is there order to the Green Hand fans out there? Or am I the only guy?
I think they're the most safe to make fun of, like their theories. If I had to guess,
kind of nuts.
There's a like. It feels like other channels have like a level of effort that goes into even their tinfoil where they're just like, so here's a little thing, and by the way, now we're gonna go way off the rails for 10 minutes.
So if we're all gonna agree that Frog and Danny are twins, right? Like we're all gonna agree on that. So then we're gonna move on from here. And I'm like, wait, when did we all agree?
Right.
What? You know, like I'm not making fun of them. They do great work. I'm just saying that level of tinfoil is like made of aluminum, like real. Like they just got a big aluminum helmet.
Like, they have like a different level of like tinfoil to research like ratio than other theory channels.
There's and I know I brought this up with Michael before because I'm not saying that you do this all the time, but your Nettles equals Nan has to be in what I'm about to say. But sorry, I know it got you a lot of views, but it's fucking insane. All right, so but the and I don't even think you do this, but it's the like this is a barely functional theory. And this is a barely functional theory. Now let's pretend like they're solid and let's build a third barely functional. Right. And when people start doing that like weird conspiracy theory shit, like, you know, even in real history, which I'm a big history like buff, you lose me on any conspiracy theories where the thing you're now citing is something you made up 5 minutes ago. And you're citing it like fact. And that's what like Order of the Green Hand and Preston does sometimes, not all the time. Where I like you start to lose me when it's like, bro, we don't agree that thing you made up 5 minutes ago is true.
Right.
So why are you basing things off it?
And if that doesn't bother you, you should subscribe to the Interesting Nerd Club.
Yeah. Well, my one defense of that, though, Taco, my one defense of that is in these books, like George is very clearly gonna do that. That's the problem, though, right? Is like he's hiding a clue here and he's hiding a clue here, and those clues are eventually gonna come together to make the reveal.
But maybe that's why I'm a gullible nihilist, where I don't believe anything unless somebody's like, "No, really, look, it's real," and then I'm like, "All right, maybe."
I understand not wanting to go through like the mental effort or like the like entertaining, like the like okay, like you know what I mean. Like I don't want to wade.
You just call me stupid, Michael?
No. Like
I understand not trying to think critically. Whoa, what do you mean?
No, of like following all of the like different steps and like weighing like. Is this a serious point? Is this because it's like it's a bunch of like there's so many theories that are just such trash.
Oh
like,
yeah. And that's
I'm at the point where like most of like Reddit posts of like I'll see like why Stannis is doing this, and this part 1 of 4, and I'm like I don't care, man. Like
so,
and I get it. I don't want to do the mental effort for 90% of theories either. That's
So because of the type of videos I do. Anytime I cover a character, I type into Google blah 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 theories, right? So if I'm covering Adam Marbrand, right? I typed in Adam Marbrand theories to see what we got. And a lot of them are like 5 to 8-year-old Reddit posts.
Yeah.
And some of them are really fun. The only one that like actually really bothered me, and I even like said like there might be something there, but it just like I didn't like it, and that was like and it, maybe I'm just like giving I got onto a soapbox during my Carlton Chestild video, but it was the like, what if Carlton Chestild being burned alive was a sacrifice that gave Dany her powers? And I know that the person didn't mean it the way I read it, but I read it as in the awful thing that the Mad King Aerys did after he did that. He went and he assaulted his wife. What if that was an important thing that gave Dany her powers? And I read it like this awful dude did 2 awful things: burned somebody alive and assaulted his own wife. He did those 2 things for a magical reason. And I was like, no, we can't give the Mad King credit.
Yeah. No, I mean, I brought up in one of our...
and that just bothers me. And I know they weren't trying to come off that way. I know they're just looking for a cool thing. And I don't take... I just want to state, I want Zach to talk, but I just want to state, I don't think that's what the guy was saying. But when I like, honestly, I'm a little offended. Like, no, it's just an awful guy doing awful shit.
I will give that a little bit of like I talked about that as an example in like the Fireblood theory that the Targaryens who are more obsessed with burning things tended to have better like uh odds of creating like an heir who is more Targaryen in the way we traditionally think of them, sort of thing.
Maybe like 2 would book it. All right, yeah,
Yeah.
sorry,
So
I agree.
Yeah.
like when you think of like Targaryens that have some sort of like element of old Valyria in them, like or are said to be like more Targaryen looking. There's usually a great fire related tragedy not
Yeah.
long prior to their birth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I do fully agree that like it's probably actually magically relevant to be burning people just because of how much blood magic there is, but it's not like the Mad King was doing it on purpose. I think that there's a lot of people who accident their way into magical things.
Yes, correct.
The thing that I said, and not to just literally reiterate something I said on a video that I'm sure at least one person who's watching this has watched, because this is my channel. But I think Dany is a good leader if she is a good leader, not because of her awful dad, but in spite of his awful dad. Right? I come from, not I didn't have the best upbringing, right? But I feel like a lot of I'm not blaming like my parents. Maybe they weren't in the right place to have a kid or so on and so forth. But I think the reason why I'm acting the way I am as a dad isn't because I was taught awful things by my upbringing, but in spite of it, right? Like, I'm going to do something my dad never did, blah, 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 right? Not to make it super personal, but I don't like the idea that she is special because of the Mad King, but in spite of the Mad King, he was an awful leader, so I'm going to be a better leader. Yeah. She doesn't even know how awful a leader her dad is yet, I don't think. Maybe Barristan told her a little bit. But the point I'm trying to make is don't give him the win.
Right.
Like, don't give the Mad King the fucking win. Like, he's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I do think that there's a lot of accidenting into magic. Like, some people want to, like, say, like, Illyrio and Varys gave Dany the dragon eggs because they knew that she could hatch them because she's a Targaryen woman and they understood the secret magic that nobody else knows about. It's like, I don't think Varys and Illyrio are like secret magic masterminds who know
I don't think they
stuff.
had any fucking clue those dragons
right, they didn't. They definitely didn't know, in my opinion. That's like the most likely thing. Also, I just want to say, before we get too far away from me saying Order of the Green Hand is bad, I do just want to say their Kingsguard Beyond the Wall theory is phenomenally entertaining, even though I don't actually believe it necessarily. Like, I think it's much less than 50-50 likelihood. It's a very entertaining, well put together sort of argument. The problem is, like, in their series, they also rely on, like, as you said, like 5 other theories that I don't quite agree with to come to their conclusions. But like the Kingsguard surviving and doing that sort of stuff would be very interesting. They just also loop in like Dany is not who she says she is and all this other stuff in their theory. It's like, okay.
Another problem I have with theorists is when they take the high road as if their bullshit's fact. Right. And I'm not saying Order of the Green Hand does that. Maybe I've just read that. And that, like, I don't know them. I've never talked to them.
I know, yeah.
And they could be completely unjust in jest, and after they write this stuff, they all giggle and put it out. Like, I can't believe people take this here. I don't know. And again, I'm never gonna talk crap about any of us. Like, you're putting out your passion and you're writing these really cool things and you're putting it out there. I'm totally supporting anyone who does what we're doing. Mm-hmm. But there's something that I will hate of, like, there's some people who think that Mance isn't Arthur Dayne. What idiots. Right. It's like, whenever I get that vibe, I'm like, fuck off. Like,
right.
Throw out your theory, but if I feel like you are then judging people who are not buying into it, screw off. Like, and I don't know. Maybe there's just a reason why I want to try to cover lore instead of theory. Is I don't want to put myself out there saying I'm buying into anything that isn't actually on the page. I don't know, but whatever. You guys want to talk about the Valyrian Steel Sword?
Yeah, why not? Why not, eh?
I don't want anyone to think that I'm talking shit about Order of the Green Hand.
No,
I'm
yeah,
not talking shit about like I'm not. I'm trying not to.
I do enjoy some of their theories, and some of them I dislike, but that's par for the course.
Well, the first
right?
time I heard the Ashara Dane like N plus A equals J, I was so dismissive. But once you hear enough people break it down, you almost start to believe it.
Yeah.
But all right. Hey, Rust, how you doing down there?
Not bad. How about you?
I'm doing all right, man. You haven't talked for a while. I've been trampling over. Me and Michael have just been going. Sorry, these alcoholic beverages. Am I right? All right. Truth. You guys remember Truth? No.
I don't. No.
The Valyrian Steel Sword carried by Morido Rogar, a Lysini noble from the wealthy banking Rogar family. Yeah. So
cool. So how'd they get it? I guess they bought it, right?
I think they just bought it. We don't know how they get it.
Yeah.
So he showed. This guy shows up during the Lysini Spring, right at the end of Fire and Blood, when Viserys Targaryen's Lysini wife brings over her rich banking family, and they kind of take over King's Landing for like a weekend, and then it all falls apart. Watch my Sandok the Shadow. I needlessly go into the entire Lysini Spring just to talk about Sandok the Shadow. No one yelled at me about that. I made a 35-minute video about a guy with one scene in the entire book.
Chat brought it up.
Yep, good.
Lysini Spring.
Yeah. Out here. All right.
Should we do another sword right away?
Whoa, are we done with Truth already? Holy crap.
Are we? Well, what? I don't know anything about it. What else is there
There's
to say?
nothing. I
was going to call it a rich person's Nepo blade, but that describes like all of them. So
yeah. If anything, this is new money Nepo blade. It's not even a Nepo blade. New money blade. All right, cool. So vigilance. Did you guys know that House Hightower had one?
No, I forgot about that.
Well, there you go.
Nope.
Vigilance is a Valyrian Steel longsword belonging to House Hightower. Ormond Hightower, Lord of Hightower, wielded the blade during the Dance of the Dragons, in which he fought for King Aegon II Targaryen. Lord Ormond was killed during the First Battle of Tumbleton. Spoilers, sorry. It is unknown what happened to Vigilance after. So we only know the one guy who used it, and it was a Hightower during the dance.
It is a little bit weird thinking about like how many times that like these incredibly important family heirlooms are just carried into battle and then the person dies with them, or it's like I get that it gives you a small advantage probably over other swords, and like when you're in a life and death situation you probably take any advantage you can get, but it's also a little weird when it's so expensive Tywin Lannister can't even buy one, that people are just carrying them in situations where they're about to die.
And Joe Blow has one. John Roxton has one.
Yeah.
The Mormonts fucking have one.
And not only that, it's like you have this thing, and then you're just like, oh yeah, I'm probably going to die in this battle. Better take it with me.
Yeah.
Like,
are you saying that John Roxton wasn't a good fighter? I don't know where Truth is. It's literally nothing is stated about it. It would be really cool if it was still in King's Landing and somebody just whipped it out. You dislike Hightower more than House Peak? Wow. I don't know. There's something about what's his name, the current Lord of Hightower, who's just hanging out with his freaking daughter, reading books at the top of the tower, just doing random shit that I love.
that's another one that George could like easily drop like an insane amount of Hightower.
He could be the main bad guy.
Yeah.
If George wanted it to.
Yeah. Tom and I have talked about that. Like the high towers have been established to be somewhat important now, like through the dance, through Fire and Blood. Like the precedent's there if he wants to do it.
Yeah. And like it's to the point where it's a little weird if he doesn't, but also it's like I could see him not, just because it's like, well, this got away from me. I got to wrap this story up in 2 books. If I bring in the High Towers now, I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. They could literally, by the end of the next book, they could be like Euron level important, or they could be nothing.
They have he's got a huge family over there too. Like he's built the High Towers up without any detail He just like there's like 8 and they're all really powerful. And then he just has them sitting there. Like at any moment they can actually become really important characters. Or they don't have to be. And also one of them is nicknamed Baelor Breakwind. And
classic character.
Fuck yeah, man. Like, I believe Oberyn didn't like him, so he called him Baelor Breakwind and made fun of him so much, and that's why
he farted so much. Yeah,
right. Yeah,
farted once.
One of his sister's suitors, right?
Yep. So I did like a "Who's your favorite Baelor" poll, and I gave him the moniker Baelor Breakwind Hightower, and somebody's like, "Dude, don't go with Breakwind." Like he was called that once from Oberyn. And I like that somebody was defending him. Like, you didn't even mean
it's not Boogie all over again, man.
So we had some tacos that day. Like, come on, man. You gotta ruin his whole life. Yeah. It's not Boogie. Yeah, it's not Boogie all over again. They call me Baelor the Creature. Shut up, Breakwind. All right, so Widow's Wail. I gotta read this whole thing. All right. Widow's Wail is a Valyrian Steel longsword of blade. It has a red and black ripples. I always want to say nipples. Something about that font through the steel. It is its scabbard is garishly. All right. Garishly. Are we going to garishly decorated with gold, cherry wood, and red leather. So red stuff. All right. With golden lions' heads. The eyes of the lions are rubies, of course. Lord Tywin Lannister has the armor of Toba Mott, Meltdown, Eddard Starks. We already talked about this. Mott has enough metal to make 2 swords. One long sword, a slightly smaller sword. He attempts to tint the swords crimson with color of House Lannister, but the metal absorbs the color, resulting in ripples of nearly black, gray, and red, almost as dark as the gray. Upon Joffrey's death, Widow's Wail is passed to his younger brother, Tommen Lannister. The sword is held at the Red Keep until the boy king is old enough to wield it. 2 wielders, Joffrey and Tommen. And I love the art here because we actually kind of see that swirl, that perfect ripple of the black and red. I think this is the art that kind of depicts that the best. So, yeah. There you go. That's the last sword.
We did it.
Woo!
One time about Widow's Wail?
Yeah.
The last sword or the last Valyrian weapon overall?
The last Valyrian weapon overall.
Okay.
We're done.
Okay.
20. Yeah.
Right on.
That's all of them in the books, man.
Yeah.
So do we want to talk about Widow's Wail? Wood Booger Farm, how you doing? You're back.
It's not even Widow's Wail, really. Like, as far as its track record is concerned, it's like Librarian's Wail.
Well, it got it got named, and that's it. Then it got taken away. Like, it has no existence.
Wait, so he was wearing it during the Battle of the Blackwater, right?
No, you got that after that.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
He got
so
it
what was the sword?
wedding.
What was the sword that he had Sansa kiss?
Oh,
Heart Eater.
Heart Eater.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give him a.
Okay.
I'm gonna give him a red smile from Ian.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and she tries to encourage him to go do it.
Yeah, she's like, "Oh, I bet you could totally take Stannis, you fucking loser."
It's like she's just like, "Oh yeah, of course you'll be on the front lines fighting Stannis. My brother Rob fights on the front lines, and he's not even a real king."
Yeah.
And then he just goes, "Yeah, well, Rob's ugly." Can we all talk about the amazing performance by, I can't remember his first name, Gleason, or Joffrey, what was it? Sorry.
Jackie Gleason.
Is it Jackie Gleason? I don't think
it's
Jackie Gleason.
I don't think it's Jackie Gleason.
It's a different Gleason. Now I literally have to do it because I want to give him a shout out because it's literally that scene.
It is Jack Gleason.
Is it Jack Gleason?
Jackie Gleason.
The fact you're saying Jackie is throwing it off.
I'm conflating them. Funny, but yes, his name is Jack Gleason.
So
that
Jack
is very
Gleason,
funny.
Literally in that scene, though, his performance is so good. God, he killed it. And no wonder why he doesn't want to act ever again because he's like, bro, I did it already.
Yeah, I beat him
out.
I
won. Level 20. You can't go past level 20.
Did he get any Emmys for that?
I sure.
I don't think so.
I don't know.
They need a
they
best
did-
bad guys category.
They didn't even-
Game of Thrones didn't get a lot of Emmys until later, and it didn't deserve them later. It did
Yeah,
do pretty well for season 4, and that's the only season that did really well that deserved
Yeah.
to do really well.
They
Yeah.
got a
I know
lot
you
of
guys are
like
gonna-
makeup Emmys at the end. They're just like,
Yeah.
we Lifetime Achievement Award Emmys.
I'm gonna look up the name so I can actually do it. Patty Considine. I actually nailed it.
Yeah.
The fact that Patty Considine didn't even get a nom.
Yeah. Oh
For
my god,
Viserys?
it's so good.
I love Succession. I love that show. Don't get me wrong. I watched every season of it. I love that show. 3 actors got nominated in the same season, and Viserys didn't get one. Patty Considine get one.
Yeah.
They gave 3 to frickin' Succession actors, and Patty Considine's walking in like the throne room, and the music's just
So good.
going. It's beautiful.
That
It's
whole
one of the
scene
best
is so good.
performances.
Yeah.
Like, you know, Patty Considine doesn't actually have leprosy. That was acting, guys.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Like,
Yeah.
ah.
Did the nominating people understand how boring his character is in the source material? Because like
He's not
that-
even-
yeah.
He's fat and he likes to party.
Like George has basically even said, like, yo, I can't believe he turned that into this level of character. Like,
Yeah,
there's not much to work with.
George felt bad they didn't write the character more compelling. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. He's like, this
Whoa,
guy
whoa,
is
whoa,
making me feel bad about my writing.
So April is really sure Rickon is just hanging out in Barrowtown right now. Probably at House Stout, the other house in Barrowtown that I learned about recently.
That's interesting. So, semi unrelated because I don't really know if Rickon's in
Anything?
Barrowtown, but yeah, I don't know anything. I make up all of my theories. I don't understand.
All right, guys. So Nettles, Nan, and Leaf. Here we are. Okay. Same fucking chick. Nan banged Damon. I'm working backwards from that.
Yep.
Wait, I thought Nan banged Dunk, or is she Dunk's
Yes.
daughter?
All of
Michael's fucking world. You loser.
Yeah. Oh, I did say some people think she banged Dunk in the tall. I brought
Yeah.
that up in my video. I'm like, as a sidebar, some people think this. But what I was gonna ask is like, do you guys think that there's like a twist coming with Lady Dustin? How much she hates Ned Stark and hates his bones? Like, is that an act on any level? Like,
by the way, I do have to say right now, N plus BD equals J. I'm just saying, Ned is banging Lady Dustin, and she's just gaslighting us.
Well, she might legitimately hate him,
Well, who
yeah.
you know, and also have gotten knocked up by him. They could be both.
So you
There
think
are-
maybe
she
her
seems like
whole
she might be
story
into
about
that, yeah.
Robert Stark or not Robert. Sorry, Brandon Stark is actually Ned, and that Ned took her maidenhead and then just like left and also got her husband killed. And she's like, dude, fuck Ned.
Yeah.
You know what? They already set us up with the whole Littlefinger thinking that he hooked up with the other sister with Catelyn. So they've already set that up. It's possible that they were very drunk and she thought she was hooking up with Ned and she actually hooked up with Brandon. So now she hates Ned.
How drunk does somebody have to be like, I totally banged you last night, right? It's like, no.
Well, it's drunkenness combined with a very strong desire to believe it. I think.
You're right. And light switches, not a thing yet. So look,
Exactly.
it was in
Exactly.
the
Very dark.
Yeah, it's a very dark world. Yeah, they don't have lights. Flashlights, not a thing.
And
Let's talk about
also they don't have like Facebook and images.
I wonder if
how
how common it is for them to intentionally light candles just for sex.
You don't do that now?
People do that now.
Yeah, bro.
I know, but I mean, back when
do that
candles actually cost something.
Now, I've been married for a long time, dude. I do that for masturbation. You gotta make it important.
Does help.
Oh man, the candles are to distract your wife. So she's like, "Oh, it smells nice. I'm gonna go in this room." Meanwhile, Taco's in the other room pulling open his laptop.
No, I like that. I like to turn the brightness on my phone all the way down and then light up my candlelight to make it special.
Got the laptop over
it
here, a flame app on his phone to make it look like it's candlelit, but it's the phone light.
Do you guys remember that Zippo lighter app that just looks like a Zippo lighter?
That's probably what was in my head as I was thinking about that. I'm like, I know this is a thing I've seen before.
Sorry to interrupt your freebasing in the background, Russ.
Freebasing.
Whatever you're doing back there.
It's Ben and Jerry's.
Getting his ice cream.
Ben Jerry's.
Richard Pryor.
I prefer to mainline it.
Richard Pryor lit his face on fire, or rhyming, freebasing on an airplane, and no one talks about it. You freebase.
I talk about it. I talk about it a lot.
Yeah, dude, it's hardcore.
I feel like a lot of stuff used to happen that nobody talks about because there's not video of it. Whereas today there would be someone who would have recorded on TikTok if someone lit their face on fire.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I love that Wood Booger Farm made a big deal about leaving him and just came back into it. That's okay.
He did say he was only going to be gone for an hour.
I missed that before.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought he was like, "All right, good night." And everyone's like, "Good night." And then Wood Booger Farm's like, "Y'all still up?"
He's like, "I'm going to be gone for an hour, so I'll probably miss like one, maybe two swords."
Yeah, that's correct.
He missed 2 swords and a dagger. And then he came back and he was like, "Tell me it wasn't the cat's paw." And they're like, "Yeah, it was the cat's paw."
Yeah, but I don't even call it the cat's paw.
It was the dagger everybody was here to see.
Yeah. All right. Am I alone that I'm super bugged that dagger is important? Like, it's just a dagger.
It's weird.
Just a fucking knife.
So I think George said at one point, he's like, "Yeah, it was kind of a mistake to make the dagger out of Valyrian steel because it's such a rare and important thing later in the books." So, is it him, retroactively, trying to add value to the dagger?
But it's important.
Yeah, because, the thing is, House of the Dragon is actually consulting with George on lore a lot harder. There's the Dragon Demands has put out some good videos about this recently.
They did that.
That is basically happening.
Thing.
Yeah. The Dragon Demands has put out some videos recently talking about behind the scenes what a mess the late seasons were and the Blood Moon prequel was, because they were just ignoring George R.R. Martin and were not thinking oh, we should involve the guy who invented the entire world. Weird. And then now, after season 8 failed so horribly and the Blood Moon pilot was just terrible, they're like, "Oh, we should really involve George R.R. Martin a lot."
George, you want to write these, please?
Yeah, and so now, all of their sequels or their prequels are George-approved lore. They're asking him questions. They're like, "What should we do?" He's like, "Do Dunk and Egg and do the Dance of the Dragons." They're like, "Okay, we're going to do Dance of the Dragons. We're going to do Dunk and Egg." And that is phenomenal news, in my opinion.
Do the stuff we've already proven people like and enjoy and works as a story.
So can we talk about Dunk and Egg?
Is a really, really solid advice that you think somebody would have thought of before consulting, I don't know, George, who probably, had to say, first sentence that came to mind, which is, people tend to like the books I have published.
Right. I'm just I
love your George
simple idea.
Well, people like
the simple idea that you have George there. Don't ignore his lore if you're making something in his world.
What does he know about the fucking books?
Right. Yeah. It's shocking that took wasting $35 million and screwing up your greatest television show you had made.
All right.
To come to that conclusion.
I got a pitch, guys.
Yeah.
The long night is like half a night.
Yeah. Right. I
like it.
Yeah.
I like it. Okay.
What were you gonna say about Dunk and Egg?
3 really
Wait,
short...
Dunk is the long night.
Oh, we should end it there. No, fuck fuck you, Rest. All right. No, so no, it was actually really the Tall Knight. It
That's
was a
pretty good.
mistranslation from the original Valyrian the whole time.
No, it was talking about a different thing.
Oh,
The long
Misa
knight.
means tall and high Valyrian.
it actually doesn't translate to Long Knight. It's Girthy Knight. That's really
Yeah,
weird.
it's weird.
They call me the Girthy Knight. All right. Anyways, so Duncan Eggs 3.
That explains why Hodor came out so wide.
Oh, come on. What are we doing? Hold the door. All right. Hold the door. All right. So no, come on. Let's move on.
Hold the door. Hold the door. If you slam it too quickly, it'll get caught in the door.
Oh my God. All right.
All right. No more jokes. What were you saying about Duncan Egg?
So Duncan Egg, it's 3 really short novellas, and guess what? It's not finished, and it won't be finished by the end of the show. Did we do this already?
Yeah, but okay. Duncan
That's
Egg,
what bugs
the
me.
only
Is I
way
want
it's
to
gonna-
finish Duncan Egg first. You got to
only
finish
way-
it with fucking Summerhall, and he's not going to tell us what happened at Summerhall yet.
The only way it's ever gonna get finished is if they do it with the TV show. They'd have to just do what they're doing with Dan.
Don't you dare insinuate that the ending of the show is important.
No.
Get off my
They're gonna
stream,
have to
Michael.
they're gonna have to do what they're doing with House of the Dragon, where George basically wrote like the quick lore, and then they work with him to flesh it out, and so we get the full detailed Dance with the Dragons. He's not gonna write the main series and all the rest of these novellas.
Well, and he said he wants
So-
to finish the main series first.
Right. So what they should do is they
But
should
we're
have
not going to get the novellas by the end of the show.
No, so what they should do is they should have George write out for them basically the Fire and Blood summary of the Duncan Egg novellas.
I know, but I don't like that. I
don't like
want-
it either, but it's the best
Like,
of the
I
potential.
don't want
options,
the ending
right?
to be given to me via the show. I want to
Yeah.
read it.
Yeah,
I don't know. I know I'm a fucking loser.
I would
nerd
agree,
thinking that,
but like I don't think we're gonna get all. I think this is probably on some level like an understanding. Like I would be annoyed if they were like, "Oh, we're only gonna adapt the novellas he's written." Like, no, take us all the way through.
No, they're gonna go all the way through, but
Yeah.
I just
That's
you
better
know-
than no ending. I think that's the only other option, right? Like
yeah, I know, and
You
I know
know?
April's right. Like I'm just this dumb guy who wants books out, but it just like Summerhall to me being this complete lore nerd, it's so important.
It
It's
is-
like so crazy important to me. I know how pathetic I sound,
well,
but
no,
like having Summerhall spoiled by a show is like having R plus L equals J spoiled by the show. Lame.
Yeah.
Like we need to know what it actually is.
it sucks, but okay. If season 8 they had been actually like talking to George and he had been like seriously involved in writing it, that would have been better than like, you know, than what we got. So in this case, it's like as long as they seriously are involving George and plotting it out, we're gonna get the real answer at least, right? Like at least we'll get hopefully a good real answer if they start taking George's lore seriously.
I know, but I all right. I'll stop. I know what you're saying, and we're in agreement. It's just I wanna you know, there's a better universe out there. There's a parallel universe where George finished all of his books, and the 2016 election went differently. It's just a better.
Yeah, I do fully
I like how
understand.
those two things are intricately linked.
They are
Kind of weirdly, yeah.
He, you know how close he was
So-
to finishing Winds of Winter in 2016, and then he just got too.
Yeah, I like how. Oh no, I thought it was the other way. Where like in 2015, The Winds of Winter comes out, and Hillary Clinton reads it. It's like I need to run a better campaign. I should visit Michigan and Wisconsin like once at least.
Wait. So Cersei is the bad guy? Oh shit! All right, I'm gonna start doing this early.
It was very important that a politician from the South went to visit the North in Winds of Winter, and then Hillary would have taken that knowledge and been like, "Hey, wait a minute now, swing states. What are those?"
She didn't need to campaign. It was her turn.
Yeah, right. Sorry.
All right. I know Zach hates politics because he doesn't like taking his work to his hobbies.
It's impossible to There's certain jobs where it's impossible for your work to not follow you. I work in one of them.
Yeah, you're right. I work in a sugar factory, and I'm addicted to junk food. So like, I make my own.
It follows you home.
Oh yeah,
specifically in your intestines.
Yeah,
but just to back to your point, what you're saying, I do fully also agree with you, Taco, that like it does suck that this is the dunk and egg situation we're in, but it's better than them being like, well, we can't make it because it's like, well, George
or
you know,
we don't have the novellas, or we don't have George's outline, so we're just gonna make up random shit with dunk and egg. Would also be bad.
That would be the worst one. Yeah.
Here's something interesting, right? So we can have a season. We can have a season 1 that Blackfyre Rebellion is mentioned in, right? Unlike the book that was written before the Blackfyre Rebellion was thought of. So season 1 can already be different, right? But like that's the one interesting thing I got. Season 2, am I weird thinking Sworn Sword is like not good? Like I don't love the second one. I just kind of really hate Eustace Osgray.
I like the second one a lot. The second one,
I know me and you've talked about this, where I just like have a completely different takeaway.
Yeah, story. I like it a lot because it is a very good like. So the whole point of like I talk about deconstruction, reconstruction in literature a lot, and A Song of Ice and Fire is a deconstruction. It is fantasy sucks. Being a princess sucks. Being a knight sucks. You get a concussion and your brains fall out and you die. Now, granted, that also happens in Hedge Knight. Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
The Hedge Knight and all of the related stories are like, we've invented this world where we've acknowledged all the things that A Song of Ice and Fire points out about how living in a fantasy world would suck. Here's how you could still be a good knight and live a good life in this world we now know to be worse. And that is a good, like, George has thoroughly destroyed fantasy, and now he can rebuild it in an image that we can acknowledge and understand. I love when a piece of media picks apart its genre, reanalyzes,
and then picks apart its own satire of it.
Yes, and then and then it allows you to
South Park rules. We all agree.
Yes.
Chat is standing D&D.
I assume that is sarcasm.
No, they're talking
me as well, but they're doing it nonetheless.
I mean, they're also just loving your cat to the point that they haven't stopped talking about it.
He hasn't gone away.
Zach, I know we've had this conversation before. I don't know if it was on one of my streams or on one of yours, but my takeaway from the second Dunk and Egg book is powerful rich people fighting over nothing, and people have to die for it. The people who don't even have names, right? Like they call them like Bean 1, Bean 2, and Bean 3. And guess what? They don't matter. They're small folk and they die. Why? Because these two rich people, Rohan Weber and Eustace Osgrave, are fighting. Bennis is being all weird and creepy and touching people's faces. And Dunk is the only one who's trying to be okay. Everybody else sucks, and it's all because these two rich people are fighting. And what happens at the end? Nothing. They get married. None of it meant anything. All these people died for no reason. And it was all just because rich people fight over nothing and poor people pay for it. That was my takeaway. And I know that I'm really classist. Like I think of a lot of the world in class because I grew up really low class, and I think about the class system a lot.
Because you understand the world. You understand how things work.
but maybe I'm just projecting it. But literally that whole book feels like Rohan Weber picks a fight for no reason over, and she doesn't want to get married, and the small folk have to fight, and then at the end they just marry each other, and none of it mattered. And she gets to make out with the tall guy.
I think it shows like the futility of feudalism as a system from top to bottom, because you're supposed to. Rohan Weber is 100%. Only in the position. She's only in the position she's in because she is a woman, and there were expectations put on her as a woman that she does not want to live up to, and she cannot live a normal life.
They literally are making
without those.
I'm making a video about all of her husbands right now. I have a short finished
Yeah.
right now, right in front of me.
And then
yeah, go ahead.
And then even Sir Eustace is also like, he had to, gamble on his position, and you understand why he backed the Blackfyres. He was in a position where he needed to do something to stop his like old castle from falling apart that nobody gives a shit about, and it was the worst gamble ever made. It ruined his life.
Yeah, he tossed away
him
3 or 4 fucking sons for it.
Yeah, all of his sons died. His daughter was taken. His wife committed suicide, all because he was put in a shitty position that he would have never been in any other system, and he took a catastrophically bad risk. And of course, he's not going to look at that and be like, "Ah, damn it, feudalism." He's going to say, "Ah, damn it, my side didn't win," because it's so entrenched as an ideology. He cannot conceive of a world where he doesn't need to be the lord. And the land being so inherent to his pride and honor, the water
specifically
being
the river being named after his own lion, like it's the Checky water.
The Checky water, yeah. It's important to him, even though it doesn't really all that much matter to him in the end.
I want to state so April hears me. Yes, I do get that the way that Rohan Weber was treated was absolutely awful. And Zach did just say that. Like, this feudal society absolutely did treat her wrong. But what did she do at the end of the day? She married the guy that she was fighting over, and then he died, and she eventually married a Lannister. Like, I really feel like no one that, like, this fight was over nothing. Human beings died in this fight, right? Like, an entire forest was burned to the ground. Why? Nothing changed. Like, they just got married at the end of the day. Like, you know what she did? She got dunked to murder the guy who she didn't like. Like, she got rid of the long end. Like, I feel like she played everything. Even, and again, I'm not saying that she's not a victim in this. Like, feudalism definitely treated her as a victim. She married freaking 6 people who she didn't love before she was like 25. I get that that's messed up. I'm not going to say that's not messed up. But I'm just stating that I feel like it was a very pointless fight that these small folk had to get involved in for no reason. Like, that was,
and Dunk does get the small folk out of it at the very least for the main confrontation battle. But they do, like, one of them does get injured. Like, it is still like at a cost for somebody. Yes.
And it's just going off of the when the High Lords fight, the peasants pay the price. What's the quote there? But I feel like it's tied into the entire, one of the main things of Game of Thrones is the messed upness of, like, how many of the wars of the last 200 years are over, like, Shara Seastar, or, like small shit that thousands of people have to die because somebody wants to bang their sister and somebody else.
We're relitigating something that doesn't matter to most people. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, dude, freaking Frank who sells the tacos at the taco stand, he doesn't care who's banging Sierra Seastar, but now his High Lord says that he has to care, and now he's going out and dying for what? Because Brendan Rivers wants to bang her instead of Aegor? Like, does it matter? Yeah. Like, I guess Sworn Sword seemed like the most antithesis of that thesis. But
yeah. Yeah, it also, like, just explores on a lot of levels too, like, why no, like, there's no room for, like, even some of the people at the top to, like, break down the system, right? Like, it's so hard to, like, break out of the system in weird ways, right? Because, like, you'd think in theory, okay, this is a woman who has power, but at the same time she has all this stuff forced upon her. And then, like,
yes, that's the point we're all trying to make.
Well, right,
yes.
Yeah, and it's just, I think at some point or another he's gonna have to, like, that's part of why I think, like, the whole system is gonna be destroyed by the end, right? Like, I think that's kind of what he's building towards.
Yeah,
in the main book series, is because he's like, something just needs to freaking happen. Like, you guys need to just collectively, none of you individually seem able to break out of it, so this whole system needs to break. And yeah, I do think that is kind of the thing that he's focused the most on. But at the same time, it's just like, if everyone could just at the same time be like, hey, let's just stop doing all this shit.
Yeah.
But no one can ever do that.
Wouldn't it be so crazy if like everything's like getting to a big boiling point in like the last book, and then like the version of the Enlightenment happened, and this mofo get a bunch of power at the end?
Yeah.
like right when a big like, oh, the old gods are gonna do this, and it's like, did you hear somebody in Lease invented the printing press? Oh shit! And just everything changes.
Yeah, in
there
early...
is a stat for that. The High Sparrow, right? Like he is 100%
true.
The voice of the small folk.
Coffee becomes very popular and very cheap, so caffeine sweeps the nations, replacing alcohol as the primary beverage. Hence the Enlightenment.
That's the most Hunter S. Thompson thing Hunter S. Thompson said all night. All right, so the caffeine takes over the whole world.
Yeah.
No, there's a serious belief or
that the Enlightenment happened because of
theory that the Enlightenment happened because of coffee or caffeine in general.
That and the printing press, but yeah.
Those in combination will do a.
China had the printing press, and they didn't get an Enlightenment. So
yeah, but that's different. They weren't. Well, I guess they were as impressed, but
that's my point. It's different. That's my point. It was different. You don't just get an Enlightenment because you get a printing press.
They're like, hey, we understand everything, and the rulers of China were like, we weren't lying to you, but
buddy.
Whoa, some cat just started a lawnmower.
Woodbooger in the comments says, so you're saying
this one's very talkative.
And Dave were right that you need to break the wheel. It's like I think the break the wheel thing is one of the things that George gave them.
George.
Yeah. And
but they didn't break the wheel.
No, they didn't. In the show, they didn't break the wheel. Like they took that part out because it's all big magical breaking of the wheel that George is setting up, and they're like, we don't do magic here. This show is for football players. Football players don't like magic. So.
Football. I played a lot of Magic the Gathering against football.
Yeah, and football players absolutely love nerdy shit all the time.
That's the thing. Yeah, they didn't understand that either, and it was funny because like the most prominent NFL fan that was a Game of Thrones fan was Aaron Rodgers. And he just shit all over the end of the series. He's just
not only that, Aaron Rodgers believes in magic in real life. So
yeah, exactly.
I want everybody to know they're only bringing up Aaron Rodgers because they know I'm a Vikings fan, and I want to fucking hear that name on my stream.
Vikings fan.
He plays for the Jets now, and like
he doesn't play for anybody.
Might actually be a good team.
Oh no, my hamstring hurts.
Torn Achilles. What's the difference? Hamstring hurts. Torn.
It's
Achilles.
the same thing.
Power through it, you namby pamby.
Does your foot not work? Yeah, deal with it. There's this weird thing for Vikings fans is we had to see Aaron Rodgers complain and cry as he beat us, and complain and cry as we beat him. And then just over the last 10 years, we're like, dude, I hate him. Like even Favre could move over to the Vikings, and we're like, Favre, we've always liked him.
Yeah.
But Aaron Rodgers, if he turned to the Vikings, I would jump to the Lions so fast.
Yeah.
Be like, I always like Dan Campbell. Like I would leave so quickly.
He's an interesting fella. But the point I was making is like, yeah, that their demographic.
He was like, Aaron Rodgers.
Well, that's kind of the thing, right? Is like they brought up NFL players specifically as like, oh, we want to make a show that appeals to regular folks and NFL players and people who aren't into all this magic. And it's like, no, you misunderstood the assignment, guys. Like,
okay, so here was a phone call that happened. Hey, Aaron, we're working on the last 2 seasons. We were thinking about making the theme of it, and he goes, theme. What is this, elementary school?
Yeah.
Good point. We'll get rid of the theme. Thank you, Aaron. Hey, Dan, themes are for losers. And then boom, ruined it all.
Yep.
Was this a book report? Good point. Thank you, Aaron.
By the way, do you want to get burned alive in season 8? Yeah, why not?
Oh, my God. Yeah, I don't think they screwed the show up that much because we got to see a cameo from Aaron Rodgers and whoever that famous musician that everybody knew who that I don't. Yeah. Ed Sheeran, everyone's favorite Lannister man at arms. I really had no idea who Ed Sheeran was until after that episode. I don't listen to popular music.
That
He did.
that
He did a
scene-
song for the Hobbit, so he was in the right place. Really,
Yeah.
like in a better version of the show, he was in the right place. It's a shame the show was already bad by the time he joined, and then by the time they killed him off, honestly, he was just lucky to not be back.
I was gonna say, like,
I love
that
the Culpepper
scene,
references, guys. Good job.
that scene would have been fine in a better constructed ending of the show. Like, the people complained about Ed Sheeran singing in Game of Thrones. It's like, okay, yes, because everything around it was so trash, the fact that you put effort into that is annoying. But like, if everything around it had been good, that'd have been fine.
I can handle weird, goofy cameos for the sake of weird, goofy cameos. So like there's an episode of The Wire where Richard Belzer plays his character from fucking Law and Order and has one line, and guess what? It's fine. Like, I moved past it. Like it's goofy and it's weird, and now technically The Wire and Law and Order are in the same universe, but it didn't ruin the show for me. Ed Sheeran didn't ruin the show, but since it was tied into all the other garbage in the later seasons, we associated
it just feels like more
bad.
garbage.
Yeah. But no, I was literally, everyone's like, oh, well, they brought in Ed Sheeran. And I was like, who?
Yeah.
I had no clue. But yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man. The late Game of Thrones is such a blur to me now.
Yeah. You guys remember that Bronn becomes the Lord of Highgarden?
After he does like a stonks level like barter between Cersei and Tyrion to keep getting
by just showing up being like, hey,
High Lord Castle am I gonna get? River Run. She's doing River Run. The Reach. Now I'm gonna go with him.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Shows up to a bar where only the two of them are sitting, apparently unguarded. No one knows who he is. So that part makes sense that he could just walk in there, but it's also like he just shows up. He's like, hey, I'm the only one in this room who can use a sword right now. What castle do you want? Tyrion's like, I'll give you a Highgarden.
She's like, shit,
oh,
I only had a
all right,
run.
Hell yeah, that sounds pretty good.
She's like, if you could kill one Sansa, you get the whole North.
They were trying to play off that parable from before, where you have the man with the sword and the priest and the rich man and the king, and they all tell him to kill another person.
What
you know what I mean?
Joke we never get the punchline from at the end of the show.
The jackass and a honeycomb in a brothel.
Yeah.
I once brought a jackass and a honeycomb into a brothel.
You know what's interesting is in the Wheel of Time.
Oh, here we go.
There's a character who has an interrogation technique where he just sends a minion to get two different things, and it basically lets the interrogation target, their mind takes over with what they're going to do with these ingredients. You know, he'll send them for like salt and oil, something like that, salt and olive oil or something, and they'll just imagine all the horrible things they're going to do with it, and they never do anything with it, and it's just random things that he's sending for. But there's one of them where he sends for a donkey and a honeycomb.
So was that just a reference?
I don't know.
It probably could have been, and then the show was
remember, they don't read
later.
Books are for third grade book reports, guys. They didn't read it.
Does he make that joke in the book? Does Tyrion say that in his trial in the book, or is that just a show thing? Yeah,
dude. April said she never watched the later stuff, and we're just ruining her life right now.
Oh God, yeah.
And he's the master of coin. No, she's just dying.
Yeah.
Oh my God, April. I'm glad you now know why we're all Sith and not Jedi anymore. Like, we finished the show. Why do you think Why do you think we're the way we are?
It looks like the words donkey and honey do not occur anywhere in the books near each other.
Tragic.
Thank you, Russ.
Yeah.
You're like, you know how every famous podcaster has like that guy who looks stuff up?
Jamie, pull that up.
Yeah, Jamie, pull that up. You're the Jamie, pull that up guy, and you're really good at it because we don't even have to ask you. You're better than Jamie.
I'm better than him because I'll actually fucking fact check it.
Well, that we let you on the show. I don't know what Jamie looks like, man. I've seen 1,000 of those podcasts. I don't know what he fucking looks like. But we know what you look
I
like.
saw
Russ.
I saw a picture of young Jamie once. I was like, oh, that's weird. And then I completely blocked out what he looks like because I didn't care. It was like a while ago at this
because
point.
it didn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It's better to not know.
There's like
I think.
30 young Jamies. They're all.
Yeah.
It's like here's a reference that no one's gonna get. It's like in the Dinosaurs TV show, the live action Dinosaurs from the 90s, the sitcom.
Yeah.
No? Yeah, all right. Thank you, Zach. They watch a really bad version of like a kids show that's like a what's his name? Bill Nye, but it's like a dinosaur, right? And the whole shtick is like this guy goes, all right, we're gonna do this dangerous thing, and we have Timmy. Come here, Timmy, and it's like a little kid sidekick. And then he's like, Timmy, stand on the other side of that blast shield. And then the kid dies somehow, like blows up. And then he turns to the camera and goes, we're going to need another Timmy. And that's like the punchline. I can't remember how I got here, but something that you were talking about is like that. I can't remember how just drinking my Truly. How did I get there?
Yeah. I don't know.
We're going to need another Timmy.
I was pulling up a Google image of young Jamie, and I now remember
Jamie
again.
is that. That's what I'm getting at. So young Jamie is just a dude who blows up, and they just get another young Jamie. We're gonna need another Jamie.
Yeah.
All right. It is so friggin' stupid. Yeah, you're right, guys. I'm sorry for showing up. We're also going 30 minutes longer than me and Russ normally go. Russ, we usually give up after 3 hours. How are you feeling?
Battery on my headset just died.
See, you're not equipped. You're not ready. You're not ready to go the extra innings.
That's probably.
I was ready. That's why I have my backup headset.
Oh, dude, killing it. I've also been wearing a Primus shirt this whole time, and no one has said anything. So
I did notice that. I'm like, oh, Primus. I do love Primus.
You're about that big on my screen.
And the show was the audience was super rough. Like they kept
really
trying to start a mosh pit right in front of us, and like wherever we moved, the mosh pit attempt would follow. However, people successfully started a mosh pit where I didn't want to be in one at a Slayer show. So that was the
but that's your fault. It was Slayer.
Well, yeah, I was at Slayer's farewell tour with Anthrax, Napalm Death, and Lamb of God. Like I had Exodus too. Yeah, I knew what I was getting into.
I saw Pantera's last tour when I was 12 in Slayer. Static X and Slayer were the two opening. Yeah, I got elbowed in the freaking nose by some random old biker who just nailed me one. I was 12 years old. I shouldn't have been in the pit. But April, May, your caps lock's been screwing you over a lot of this. Where was I going? Okay, here. So here's a concert made just for me. 2.5 hours away from me in July, Primus and Coheed and Cambria are co-headlining.
That's pretty good.
What? Like, is somebody rating my CD collection and they're like, Taco will love this. Coheed and Primus. I gotta be the one of the only crossover demographics for that. So, anyways, that's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all out of steam.
I'm somewhat brain dead, but also if it was Ice and Fire, I might know what we're talking about. I don't know as much music as
I know it, but I'm a little fried. We could do a whole just let's talk about music stream, and I'd be there for it if we weren't multiple hours in already.
Right.
I've been listening to the Girl from Ipanema on repeat all day.
Bro.
Like 7 different versions of it.
If I ever write a book that doesn't take place in a fantasy setting, there's gonna be a Rust character, and he doesn't have an arc. He's just the dude who hangs out and he says really weird, like hippie, profound shit. Like, you know what you gotta do? You're not feeling good? Girl from Ipanema, repeat, you'll feel better.
It works, man. You gotta find someone covering it in French as well. That's a good thing.
Yikes, bro. Who hurt you, bro?
See, whenever I talk about my music taste, you always ask that. And it's like,
I'm not listening to it because I'm sad.
I
I love
but
this music,
You
man.
just say some crazy shit where I'm gonna be like, "Hey, man, did you guys watch Oppenheimer?" And then Russ goes, "Yeah, I only watch it in reverse." Okay.
Ironically,
Like, just
only
some
one-
crazy Russ shit.
Ironically, I watch every single Nolan movie backwards except for one.
Yeah, I know where that's going.
Very conveniently, he did one for me.
Yeah. I accidentally watched Memento in Forward. Ruined it for me. Like, damn.
There's an old XKCD comic about there some depictions of Merlin have him so his memory works in reverse. And he like forgets people, and has as soon as he loses them, but he has tearful hellos to people. And the joke is, yeah, he recently watched Memento, and it's just him sitting in a chair saying, "Wow, that was straightforward."
That's good. All right, I think we gotta call it.
Yeah.
I think
We've
I'm
been
out of
going long.
bits.
I was waiting for the chat to die down, but we have like a really healthy chat still. So it's like
All the way
well,
through.
we usually
Yeah.
quit at.
I think we're
3
currently
hours.
at our max. 15, I think, is the most we've had all night.
I think we got to a 20 at one point. Actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Close to it.
I haven't been paying attention to the number, I guess.
Chat has been super fun. Wood Booger, thanks for showing up. You haven't there's no way I've not noticed Wood Booger in my chat before. This had to have been the first time they've been active in it. Because
I think so.
There's no way I would forget Wood Booger.
Yeah, that's a good name.
Like, oh my god. All right, cool. We done?
All right. Yeah. Bye,
Thanks everybody for watching.
Bye, everyone.
Check out Interesting Nerd Club stuff. Check out Michael Talks About Stuff, and check out Russ stuff. And thanks.
I do want to do one plug.
Do a plug. Plug me up, Daddy.
My musical channel, Deter LaCroix, spelled like Deter the plant and LaCroix, not the drink, because I don't want to get sued. If you look up that, I have some covers that I've released. I have more coming out. I have a cover album that is on the way with even more. And then I just want people, if you like music that's a little like lo-fi and slow and like all that, you're probably going to enjoy some of these things. It's very indie inspired. I did a TV Girl cover. I did a Undertale song. So you might enjoy that if that's any sort of music you enjoy. And I might be working on the video for a Daft Punk one right now.
There you go. All right.
Yes, if you also have strange taste in music, you'll probably like it.
If you want the acoustic but only bass version of Moby's Honey, go ahead and check out. I'm trying to think of the weirdest like indie goofy stuff. All right. Everyone say bye. So we're gonna say bye. Have a good one. Thanks for watching, and yeah, see you guys next time. Peace. And I'm gonna say bye to Rust before he Irish goodbyes. Bye, Rust.
See you, man.
Oh, and April May now drops the
Yeah.
super chat.
Super
See ya.
Thanks. Bye.